Yo! Well. Well. On fast today. Jeez, I was just streaming 11 hours ago. Whew. Stream, go to bed, wake up, stream. What a life. Alright, welcome everyone, we're back again. And I'm actually going to track a little bit here on the strat in question. Be a little careful with the maps I'm running. That one. What shield am I using? I'm not using a shield, I'm using the critical weakness focus. In fact, I gave that tech a little bit of love today. Slight change in what I was doing. Ailment threshold. Bugger. One actual kind of significant change I just made is the decision to pull chain out for pinpoint critical and focus a little more on trying to get critical weakness up, as well as pinpoint critical on twister. To just sacrifice damage a little bit just to really crank up crit chance, because when this build doesn't feel good, it's almost invariably a result of failing to crit with Tangle Tongue when it's supposed to do double crits. You know, huge difference between a double crit and no crit, between the freeze threshold that goes out as well as the crits that go out and the procs. And so Elemental Invocation can't get any love because it's not getting, you're not hitting hard enough to freeze. Cast on crit's not proccing because I'm not critting. Not getting any frenzy charges because I'm not breaking armors on the death, on, you know, the hit on death or whatever, or less likely. And so it's just, it's really, really bad whenever you don't crit with Tangle Tongue. That's why I think that's one of the big complaints. I think that's actually one of the misleading issues people are having with the build, is sometimes they feel like the damage is really poor, but actually what's happening really is a combination of stringy bad RNG with crit, and or they haven't invested enough into crit, and or I'm, you know, selling the build a little short by not pushing crit harder. You know, a combination of a lot of things. So it never stops evolving. What are the power charges for? Exactly. Crit. It's for crit. So if we need to freeze an enemy to get a power charge, the power charge dramatically affects whether or not we crit. So, yeah, it's just like, it's all like that. I remember trying pinpoint critical a while back on Twister, and it felt like my damage was bad. I can't exactly remember why, but maybe it's because my damage is better now that it's less of an issue. But I noticed that my crit chance with Tangle Tongue is way higher, of course. Probably over 100% chance when a power charges up and whatever other conditionals are met. And you know what? That's okay.
I'm unable.
Like, I wonder how useful is chain really for Spark. I mean, it just doesn't last very long. I feel like if it was a skill that lasted a long time, it'd be important. It only lasts for like 2 seconds. Or maybe 3 with the skill factoration in play. Oh man. Just died. Well, I put inexorable crit down. That's what I did. I'm not running inexorable crit with it. Can't remember what I'm running. Yeah, I guess, you know, you kind of need the 6 link there. You need the full link, because really, like, pinpoint critical is the last link. You kind of need that on there. Will there be a Mobalytics build guide? Well, I mean, I have a build guide. It's on Path of Building. I've never done Mobalytics. I did max roll last league and the league before. Is there some special thing about Mobalytics that makes this like better than everything else? I know it's a popular place, but does it have loadouts for the passive trees and everything? Every Tangle Tongue double critting. Yeah, maybe I will. You know what I actually want to do? I actually want to submit this for build of the week. Do you guys know where to do that? I think I'm finally going to do that. I feel like this build is actually fits the bill of something that is not just overtly overpowered and super creative, and something that they would like to see a submission on. You guys think this is worthy of a PoE build of the week? I mean, I think it probably is. Don't, it will get nerfed. It won't get nerfed until next league. We'll have another build of the week next league. It's all right, dude. No, I don't even know where to submit it. I can just use my build guide video, right? They're not going to choose my build anyway. Why would they choose an Invoker Monk in the league that they brought the Druid out? Of course they're going to choose a Druid build. I'm sure it's in vain anyway.
I cannot.
Although I suppose if I do it, they might nerf Twister in general rather than just this build. Could be a problem.
Face what comes.
Stuck. I could see them like detaching Salvo from Unleash Go Jam, yeah. And saying like, well, it was never meant to work, it was an accident. Or some shit. Rather than being like, well, actually it was supposed to work the whole time, but you just didn't change the script and like go back on it. Make a difference. No. I think I can get through the Simulacrum 3, by the way. With these changes. Hopefully. I think when monsters are armored, I don't get frenzy charges. Yeah. So when monsters are armored, that mod, you don't get frenzy charges. That's kind of shitty. I noticed that. It took me a while to realize that. So you see there's a map mod on here? Monsters are armored. When we get this, we don't get frenzy charges worth a damn on the whole map. It's kind of bad mod. I don't think it's like a bricking mod though on a map, you know, it's fine, you can just deal with it.
I cannot.
Twisters no longer gain ground effect. Get out of here with that. So this is why the Chaos Armor Break one might actually be goated, because even on this kind of map mod, it would still get frenzy charges, potentially. I don't know if anybody wants to test it for me. That'd be great. Did you see how many times I pressed spark there? What? You don't feel like this build will get nerfed? I mean, yeah, honestly, I think the same. I think the cost to benefit ratio and the amount of the way you have to work everything together and stuff. I've always said this before, like even the Deadeye version. To me, Twister, Whirling Slash, you know, Salvo, Barrage, just a bunch of buttons you got to press, and they all work together, and you have to set things up in such a way, and you know, you need to be concerned about how much crit you have, and all these things. It makes it so, you know, it's not so obvious to me that the build is overpowered, considering it feels overpowered, but only when you get all the puzzles, the pieces of the puzzle right. Yeah, it can obviously scale very well. I think I like this, guys. I think this is actually really going to help the build. On bosses, on boss damage in particular. Getting pinpoint critical in the cast on crit. You gotta understand, it also feeds itself. Like, if you can get the elemental weakness to stack up to 10, then basically every subsequent... Okay, so your chance of getting... Okay, so it's something like cast on crit, Spark, if I'm not mistaken, had roughly a 25% chance to crit. But with pinpoint critical, it's like 40% or 42%. And then if you have a 42 as opposed to 25, then you have a much higher chance of critting, you know, a lot higher. And so it's not necessarily going to happen, but once it does, then you will get the critical weakness debuff on the enemy, and you're much closer to crit cap with 42% plus full stack of critical weakness than you are with 24% full stack of critical weakness. And so it's much easier to keep that debuff. Once you have 10 stacks of critical weakness, it's very easy to keep 10 stacks of critical weakness on the boss, so long as, you know, he's not dephasing and stuff. No idea why it's slept on. I blame lack of popularity, man. I'm just not popular enough. Me and Prada trying to carry too hard. Twister archetype. A heavy weight on our shoulders.
Not yet.
Dude, I've cultivated like 7 belts, no luck. They're getting pricey. Whoa. Overrun by Abyss. Get that for now, I guess. Do I just run the same map when... Get that? Actually, I'm just gonna run it.
What is it? This is all we have.
He's using Twister with Lich.
A useful trade. Go.
It's your lair.
Mad lad.
Can I help?
Ooh.
Can I help? Is that a good
Let's
price
do
for that?
spells.
I have no idea.
Finally put an asking price where the belts don't sell.
Price
Oh my god.
lowered. Can I help?
The tablet for rogue farming? Yeah, 1 minute.
Good. Have an order? You've received a shipment. I have a buyer.
So basically I'm just doing map is inhabited by 1 additional rogue exile on 1 abyss precursor and then 2 randoms, because you only need 1 abyss precursor to initiate abyss onto the map. I don't know, but I'm suspecting there might be a chance that if you also, on the abyss precursor, if you also have the modifier chance for 4 additional abysses to spawn, increases your likelihood of a rogue exile spawning on there. Or if overran by abyss increases the likelihood. I don't know if this is the case. The going wisdom is that when the map is populated, it's predetermined whether the rogue exiles in your map are tethered to the Abyss or not. It's not like, oh, they spawned randomly on the Abyss, therefore they can drop the Diming Jewel. That's not the way it works. The real Trevo. Been looking for a Monk Twister and yours looks good. Is the damage for it scaled the same way as last league? I was using Prada's Deadeye Twister last league. No, we're hybridized. You can do a pure attack-based build like the Deadeye. If you want to see what a pure Monk hybrid Deadeye, or non-hybrid Deadeye attack build, you can get a lot of inspiration on it from my Deadeye Twister build last league. Early variants with Energy Shield. I pathed all the way next to the Monk tree anyway. Although there would be some changes now, you would be highly incentivized if you go up here to go also up here and take Anticipation. You would want to do that. Very likely. The build pathed over here anyway and took like reverse, you know, it went like it did that and then got the medium large metamorphosis is pretty much god tier now for this build. And so it's just an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weapon set 2 only passive points necessarily, so yeah. But this one is a Spark Twister hybrid build, scaling spark damage as well. I wanted to do something kind of crazy, like a hybrid build, so you can see there's a lot of that going on. Alright, this Rogue Exile might be the one. Might be the one. No! Not like this.
There's still time to walk away.
Wait, the Rogue Exile was in charge of that Abyss, but still didn't drop. I guess it's not. Maybe it's just not guaranteed to drop. Yup, you're welcome. Ah!
Fate is on our side.
Is there any chance to use a bow again? Is there any chance? There's a chance, yeah. Here. Oh, not this league, though. %. 35% movement speed. Hot damn. With 2 suffixes open and a fire res. Oh my god, this could be triple res. In the end. Yeah, I mean, this is not the boot you want health life on, though, but... Still... Yeah, not bad. got potential. I rolled half decent. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, I'll keep that. Oh, this might be one. No! Still no! Damn, dude. Scoring. Scoring. Might be my next upgrade. Personal upgrade. Have you seen the buff patch for the League mech? No, I haven't. Cautious Dancer asks, can you show me which abilities to assign to weapon 1 and 2? Well, it's pretty simple. Hollow Palm is a little more complicated mid-game, but Whirling Slash and Barrage are weapons at 1, and then Twister's weapons at 2. And that's it. Everything else is, like, both. All the Spirit Gems. I'm not doing anything weird with Spirit Gems this time around. For now. Honestly, it's easy to just play Twisters at level 1. I mean, I think so. I wouldn't say it's easy right now, but Fangs of Frost parry's a little weird, but if you ignore that, yeah, it's pretty easy.
I don't have room for that.
This Echoes, what's up? Collarbone, what's up? So, what is the buff patch? How big is it?
Let us deal with this worm first. So be it. Incinerate. I threaten the earth. The brain of cold. Now, where were we?
Unique monsters have a modifier. It's so annoying.
Good news.
Seem to be some problems with that. And ignited twisters didn't help. So Echoes 1. Alright. Let's try to craft this. I'll give it the old double exalt treatment. Well, that hit about as bad as it could have. Alright, I can save her. Nope. Pretty bad too. I need to at least try and hit this. Nope, okay, it's ruined. Actually, it's not ruined. Oh, now it's ruined.
What's
Okay.
new?
Ah, that belt had too many things wrong with it. I needed to at least get a second res in it, or like huge energy shield, one or the other. That to really be worth anything.
I'll post it right away.
These have gone up in value.
Have an order?
And more rarity stacking. I haven't, you know, killed Atsiri. I wonder if she's difficult.
Hail. Bye then.
Yes? These are our supplies.
How much rarity? Oh god, like some small number. Like 30 or something. 33.
Have an order? I'll do you proud.
I'd hit my resistances. Atziri's very weak.
Have an order?
Huh. Wonder why that is.
All right. Your order is registered.
She's such a beast, though. Oh.
Have an
Wow,
order?
and it hit spirit. Huh.
Seems like a good deal.
Okay. There's very little health.
Oh, it's you.
Probably because she spent all her stamina on the beast, if you know what I'm saying.
Have an order?
The beast left her in low health condition. I'm getting a lot of those. Monster pen? Elemental pen? One elemental pen. Is there any viable tame beasts left after the removal of frozen mandibles? No, I think now we have to like be hard on the lookout for. I should be on the lookout. If I see a chilled ground rare, I should like pause the game, see if it's a beast, and if it has haste aura too. Not that I'll ever see it though, because you know, visual clarity. All right, we got a couple of double exalt slams. Boom, dude! I hit chaos res and hybrid life. Hybrid life. I had the same thing on both.
Yes.
Kind of expensive. Let's see, this one I'll hit with this. Oh. Basically ruined. Tier 12 life. Wow. You just hit it with another one. Ugh.
All the best.
Not what I wanted.
All right, your order is registered.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's you. I'll fill that in as soon as I can.
Neither came out good. Just bad now.
Thanks for the chat.
Bad. Bad result. Alright, I didn't finish that. Wait a minute. Area is overrun by the Abyssal. Still? Yo, what? 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 I gotta see if this is overran by the Abyssal still. There's gotta be a bug if it is. Yo, Stu, how's the spin to win this league? Well, we're shooting out sparks out our ass, so yeah. How's the spell totem? Oh, I'm not using spell totem. Would love to know my thoughts on the league. Well, speaking of which, I was thinking about playing Talkative Try's video in the background. He gave his thoughts on the league. Well, it's interesting because he actually he was like really disappointed. It's unusual for him. Especially when he was like looking forward to the druid so much. Alright, looks like it's not overran by the Abyssal. I'd be surprised if he hasn't made it to... Really? Act 4? I don't know. He may very well not be in like in-game maps, yeah. Can you tell me why the Wing Spear needs to level projectiles on skill set 1? Well, that's because you're using Elemental Invocation while you're spinning to winning. And if you see my Spark skill, it goes from level 21 to 25. It's a pretty big difference. And I get increased damage with hits against enemies further than 6 meters, so the second the Spark travels for a split second, it's very high.
What is it? This is all we have.
Minus max. I was very excited, but I do feel some disappointment as well. I'll pull it up here. Let's see. I feel like both in the case of PoE 1 and PoE 2, I was already somebody who was somewhat resistant to feeling bad about certain leagues or whatever, the ups and downs. I just kind of take it all in stride. Especially the last few leagues or this last year. I've actually had so much fun making builds and like progressing through builds that it's highly distracted me from any sort of disdain from the league. I don't get my enjoyment of a particular league out of the current state of the game, farming, and currency as much as I used to. Now it's been shifting more towards the degree of fulfillment that I have in the build that I'm making, and you know, the diving into that and learning all the tech. And I guess I'm transitioning from like a currency farming Andy to a build crate Andy or something like that. I don't know. Like, I'm aware that the league mechanic probably sucks. Don't really care. I'm aware that the state of the end game's not very good. Don't really care. Like, I get to play this build, and I get to make the build and see it through, and that, I get a great deal of excitement out of that. Like, when I log in, first time of the day, I'm not thinking about farming strategies. I'm thinking about build pursuit and, like, how to, like, you know, make the build fine. Oh, I wonder, you know, I wake up in the morning and think, wait, I wonder if I use this support gem instead of this one. That might actually fix my problem. Like, those are the kind of questions I ask myself in the morning. Like, you know, waking up in bed. Not like, oh, I wonder maybe if I use this scarab instead of that scarab, you know, find more currency. Alright, Talkative Try made a video, and we're going to watch it on here. Listen to it.
Hey Exiles, so originally I had a big long script outlined for this video, but I figured why not just get into it, why not just say it raw. This Path of Exile 2 League, unlike any other in the past, has disappointed me, frustrated me, and I have burnt out faster in Path of Exile 2 than ever before. Maybe it's because I got through the campaign too quickly, which is my favorite part of the game, but despite thoroughly enjoying the Druid,
I'm sorry, mic's muted. That was weird. I don't know why it was muted. I clicked it. Just responding to this notion that, like, loving the game for the builds versus the farming strategies. It's nice to have more than one way to enjoy the game, for sure. I don't know if, like, one way is particularly better than another, but having multiple ways at the same time is good. Like, 3 or 4 leagues ago, I garnered most of my enjoyment out of the game in farming strats. I didn't really care what my build was. Like, it wasn't that exciting. It was like, okay, let's make another tornado shot physical convert build. Yep, okay. Now, what's the best strat? How good is the loot? How good is the state of the game? That's all I really care about. But, you know, you're at the mercy of the state of the end game whenever you play that way, right? And you could be really left for wanting more. If the current state of the game loot, like, this is where people, like, get really upset about the current state of loot or something. Like, I don't care about the current state of loot. I'm playing the game for the build as much as I am for loot. But there could be, you know, the opposite issue, I guess, could happen where, Like, imagine if you had like affliction levels of loot, but like build diversity was just god awful. Literally everyone's running the same build. There's no point in even like figuring out any cool tech or anything because it's just one build. It's the be all end all, and you know who cares because you're getting all crazy loot. I mean, some people would be happy with that, but I don't think I would, especially now. I think I would actually rather live in the former world than that world at this point. Palandra weapon swap. I don't know, maybe. There was Crucible League too, and I used the, I made 3 different builds, all 3 using different tech with that one jewel. What the one the jewel that makes it so you can only use one aura that boosts that aura of special things. The Righteous Fire one is like super expensive. I was using it for haste, vitality, and hatred, I guess. Or no, it was anger, I think. I don't even think I was using. Yeah, that was yeah, Sublime Vision. I created 3 different Sublime Vision builds, 3 different ascendancies, 3 different classes. It was Scion, Deadeye, and Champion. And that was really cool doing that. Like the Champion had the insane amount of like life recovery with Calm Spirit at the time. I was getting like 20 rage a second or some shit. With that was crazy. I remember. And it was tankier, of course. Definitely a fun version.
One by one.
My booze. The Lander League I made, in the end I made a Scion. And I had the crazy Elegant Hubris. Corrupted Blight Amulet gave me like, the one Elegant Hubris gave me 5 rarity nodes, I remember. Yeah. What are your favorite leagues of all time? Oh, other people? Yeah. I still say to this day mine is Calandra. And part of the reason it's my favorite league is because other people hate it. I get the love the league and be contrarian at the same time.
What's new?
21 cold res. I didn't know it could enchant 21 cold res. What? Crazy.
I'm sure someone would want that.
Speak. Quickly.
No color necessary if you juiced right, I know. That was really when my strategy and gameplay synced up perfectly with the moment. Because I was already taking a very hybridized Magic Find approach, and you had a lot of people who were all in, like, tier white map farming Wind Ripper users, and, you know, they'd always just make the exact same build every league, and they might play in duo, maybe not, and they could not take that kind of build into a Lander League and do anything with it, of course. And I had already taken the approach of, well, okay, so that approach worked really well in something like Scourge League, for example, because in Scourge League you were rewarded for farming lower tier maps as much as you were higher tier. And that was the meta then. So that approach was excellent for that moment in Scourge League. But in Calandra League, you needed power. You needed actual damage. You needed actual defense. And you still needed some rarity. It wasn't easy to blend all that together. Your DPS seems so high even when you're not critting. How much hideout DPS? Oh, I'm critting out like every time now. on Tangle Tongue. I don't know. Let's actually look to see if Tangle Tongue ever doesn't crit right now. I've gone like overboard with it. Okay, it didn't crit there, I think, actually. It didn't crit on the first cast, but I mean, that's kind of common.
Is the only truth.
If you see a flame wall when I cast it, that means it's crit. If you don't see a flame wall, it means it didn't crit. Basically how this works. Was this easy to get going? No, I wouldn't say it was easy to get going. The Coming Calamity drop. What? It's like so rare. Oh my god. Huh. I wonder if that's any valuable this league. So I'm using Pinpoint Critical now instead of Inexorable. I tried Pinpoint Critical before, it didn't work too well because I didn't seem to do enough damage maybe. But one thing that's helped get some of the damage back is I'm actually letting my rage cap out now because apparently they snuck in a change, I guess, in the last few days. Rage 3 no longer grants more attack speed either, so now we've had 3 gems get nerfed in there from more to increase. So the 15% increased attack speed while not on full rage is not nearly as powerful as it was. I promise you at League Start, that was a more multiplier. It said more on the gem. So they nerfed it mid-league. I guess they meant to homogenize all of those away from more into increase, and they forgot that one. Really? Did he just like disappear or something? He like wasn't dead and then I died and then I had nothing to leech off of.
Reveal your
I don't know what happened there. Anyway, let's go on with the video.
I played a bear shaman on my first playthrough through the campaign. I'm playing a wolf monk on my second. Despite loving that, I don't really want to play the game anymore. And in this video, I'm going to outline exactly why. There's a few different facets that play into it, and honestly, it's quite surprising to me. And it's pretty hilarious that the patch that they finally added the druid to the game.
Bro, this is worth nothing. Nothing.
Have an order?
I don't even think it'll sell for like 2 exalts.
Is that a good price for that?
Is the patch that I'm burnt out the fastest from, even faster than 0.2 Dawn of the Hunt. We are only 5 days in, and I'm already feeling like I don't think I'm going to push my character deeper into the endgame. Now, why is that? Well, we're going to talk about Fate of the Battle in a second because that's one of the larger reasons why I'm not enjoying this league. The first might be a little bit different than what you've been hearing from other creators. I haven't watched many videos, so I'm not sure what the general sentiment from.
What do I think about the coming buffs to the league? I haven't even looked at them, actually, so I don't know what they are.
Most creators are. The big issue to me right now that I've faced once I got to the end game is lack of rewards, lack of loot. I kid you not, in the interludes and in this early part of endgame, I am blocked by support gems and skill gems. I have Greater's Jeweler's Orbs. I was lucky enough to get those, but I'm not getting any support gem drops. It's crazy. I can't experiment with various different things. I have to rely on going to the trade market. In addition, I'm not getting enough crafting currencies to craft onto my items. And
Ooh. Siphoning Talkative tries RNG. He quit so I get all the loot.
I am the key.
And when I do, I'm not lucky. I'm not getting good mods on my items. I'm not getting good drops. Basically, I'm not getting any upgrades myself, even using Bones from Abyss, even using the omens that I'm getting from these initial Abyssal maps. Abyss was implemented very well into the endgame, I think. And the solution to all this is go to the trade market. And while I think trading is fine and using that as a solution in some regards is totally fine, personally, I do like picking stuff off the ground, creating my own stuff, and getting those upgrades. You felt it in 0.3, hi Kitty. You felt it in Keep
I know, dude. My 33 rarity going strong.
of the playing with PoE 1, and honestly, for the longest time in PoE 1 and in prior PoE 2 leagues, I was lucky enough to just get gear from the ground and craft gear from the ground. Every single solution to upgrading my character right now relies on me going to trade and getting the gear, grinding enough currency to buy said gear because now I'm in a rat race, or just playing enough so that I will eventually get that good gear drop and everything. I don't have the time to play a bunch, and honestly,
When you said rat race, sounds like Talkative Tribe got a little black pilled here into realizing that he might have reached a point in his progression as a player to start caring about, you know, the pursuit of league start and not just be completely casual about it.
Darkness awaits.
I'm not encouraged to play that much right now because aside from the campaign, which was awesome again, I see a lot of people complaining about the PoE 2 campaign and the areas being too big. I do think that some zones are too big in Acts 2 and 3, but for the most part, oh my goodness, the PoE 2 campaign is just a blast. I'm playing through it again on a Wolf Monk. PoE 2 campaign, interludes, amazing.
I'm about to die. I think I just got heavy stun, and I won't be able to cast anything ever again because I'm stuck when Mana Siphoner's on me.
Embers of hate.
Yeah.
Another
That's
fool
fucking
in
crazy. Oh my god, dude. I've died twice early now. I mean, I saw most of the Rogue Exiles, if not all of them, but holy crap. It's crazy.
What is it? This is all we have.
I am a big believer of using trade to gear yourself up. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. Dang it.
Oh, it's you.
This item just kept getting worse.
Seems like a good deal.
This was so unfortunate what this hit in the end. I can't believe I actually got screwed. There's some kind of bug. This was a this was in essence of Abyss desecrated mod. It shouldn't even be possible for me to hit tier 5. I believe tier 4 is the absolute minimum I can hit because tier 5 is under item level 40. I don't even know how this hit tier 5. But I've seen this happen every once in a while. And I think maybe it's if you use the essence, then you exalt slam, then you reveal it. Maybe it like gives the tier 5, or maybe it gives the item level 40 plus on the subsequent exalt slam or something. It's buggy for sure. But I got screwed over pretty bad there.
Meet the market.
We got another pretty big chest right here that should sell. Kind of surprised it's not sold yet. And kind of a big helmet. Failed the failed the corruption. But
slow it.
I rerolled the Echo. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't even see percent on the first roll. I didn't even see it. I saw in the second roll tier 5, so I'm pretty shitty about that. That's extraordinarily unlucky. I mean, usually you'll see it on both rolls, and you'll get a high one somewhere. I fully expected to get tier 1 or tier 2, or maybe, tier 3 if I was really unlucky.
Can I help? I'll tend to the books.
I mean, in all honesty, this... Unfortunately, the annulment, Abyss annulment is really expensive. It's like 2.5 divines right now. If it was a little more reasonable, this would maybe be... Maybe this would be worth rerolling. Or, if all my res was tier 2 plus, I'd probably reroll this. But, I'm not 100% guaranteed to hit it on the reroll either, so that would be extremely painful if I failed it again. After spending, because I would have to pay like 3 divines just to re-roll it. It does look like if I hit tier 1, it'd be worth like 8 to 10 divines, though. Appears to be. And it's a pretty active market, so I would expect it to actually sell.
Druid, W combo gameplay done right. My only requests are, I hope we get more skills in the future, because I can see the few interactions that we currently have getting old very quickly. I hope we get more bear, more wolf, more wyvern, maybe other forms in the future to expand the repertoire of the druid. The skills are great. The animation, the sound, just the skill design, knocked it out of the park there. I freaking love it. I ended up loving the shaman as an ascendancy as well. All that stuff is a massive W. The only things are, like I said, lack of variety in skills, and then the bugs. I have encountered so many bugs on the druid. Getting stuck in terrain on the bear, having rampage randomly end when my rage is at 75% full, having stuff just not go off, randomly buzzing around the map, just bug after bug, visual bug.
Is that true? Is there a lot of bugs playing druid, for those of you who played druid? Even after all that development time? What isn't a buggy mess in this game? Okay.
A lot of the time, the movement bug with the druid that has been annoying. Those are the two fallbacks of the druid, but the rest of the druid has been great. However, the character you're playing, right, is only part of the game. We are all well aware that Path of Exile...
I mean, you could just play a monk, invoker. I don't think there's really any bugs going on my end.
Exile 2's endgame is lackluster. Developers are aware, players are aware. However, GGG, at least from my perspective, now correct me in the comments, guys, and remember, these are just my thoughts. I'm trying to give constructive feedback.
I mean, at this point, I just want to finish the freaking map, dude. Oh my god. I want to move forward and progress that direction. That'd be great. Took a year off PoE 1 and still not polished. You still angry about that? I thought people got over that by now. You know, considering everyone now thinks that PoE 2 is a better game. Oh! Triggered.
In the best way possible, because right now I'm frustrated with the game. A lot of you guys in the past have seen me as the positive voice with PoE 2. I love the game. I want to it to succeed. You guys know all that. I'm just kind of frustrated with my current play session and what the developers are doing here, and I think it's worthwhile voicing it right here and right now. And it's taken me a bit to do it because I've really thought about this.
Question is, which game's gonna be better in the long run? I mean, it's already answered. PoE 2. In the short, medium, and long run, it's a better game. It already happened. You missed the bus. You done missed the bus. You're just still sitting at the bus stop waiting for nothing. I don't know what you're doing.
Okay, anyway, we know PoE 2 has a content problem, okay? Especially in the end game. The developers are addressing this in 0.5. However, they decided to focus a lot on shipping leagues in PoE 2. And last league, Rise of the Abyssal, great league. Awesome mechanics added throughout. You got your crafting, you got your bosses, you got your in-map encounter, you got your meta progress, all this stuff. Excellent. Great loop, great addition to Endgame, even though the Endgame hadn't changed from 0.1 really. You got Fate of the Vow in 0.4, and this might sound hyperbolic, but in this initial implementation, it might be the only league mechanic in the history of either Path of Exile game that I've decided to just not interact with in the slightest. Not touching it, not having fun, and there's a variety of reasons why. Now, I will note that Grinding Gear Games are likely going to release a patch very soon, or at least a what we're working on post for Fate of the Vow, and they'll likely make this mechanic a lot better.
Guys, welcome. This new guy dopamine maxing? What does that even mean? Like rage baiting my audience while listening to a base take and playing the game in a way I like to play that's incongruent with the way most people are playing? If that's what you mean by dopamine maxing, I guess you're right.
They're probably going to address some, if not all, the concerns I have here. However, I still think it's worthwhile to voice these so that hopefully in the future Grinding Gear Games doesn't make these mistakes with league mechanics or design decisions or just the choice to pursue a piece of content like this. So, what exactly am I talking about here? Well, Fate of the Vow has a few problems, okay? Problem number one is in the campaign initially, man, it hooks you. It hooks you good. It is rewarding. You are going into the temple. You are getting rewards in the temple. You're getting the crafting benches, whether it's an Exalt bench, whether it's a Regal bench, whether it's a quality bench that boosts one.
Danny T, thanks for the sub. Synoptic saying you saw Prada switching to Twister using Abyssal Lich. I heard about that. Why would he switch to Twister on Lich? I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't know the Lich class. How is this breach still going? What? Umbra Wall? What's that do?
One of your items up to 16 or 20% quality in Act 1, it feels good. In the map encounters as well, you are getting rewards from clearing the little pads. Whether it's a boss, a few waves, or just a pack of monsters sitting on top of it like a shrine, you get currency rewards or gem rewards very early on. And that's great. That's where it ends. Everything past Act 3 is really where I noticed it dropping off. The temple begins to feel horrible. And this is what I mean. One, building up the temple is poorly explained. In fact, I reckon it's not even explained at all. I'm confused. I guess I'm not.
Yeah, actually sounds pretty badass. What else does it get? Is it just a one-trick pony on that, or is it actually got some other stuff?
going out with a bang.
You can mix and match.
Not the smartest player, but I hate if I feel like I have to go out of game to get a system explained to me by a YouTuber, by a content creator, by a written guide. And I have very rarely thought that in PoE 1 or PoE 2 or any other games. I'm not one who goes and says, I need a guide on this right now. I don't follow build guides. I make my own builds. I do that with all the content in game too. I don't think I've ever done that for a mechanic in PoE 1. I know you might laugh at that, but I figured that stuff out myself, or just chose to not understand it fully. And then in PoE 2, there's been nothing really like that, unless you count looking up modifiers for the Lich mods, seeing the list of mods that a certain bone can roll. I did that in Rise of the Abyssal. This mechanic is not explained, and it's so frustrating to deal with. You can have all of these consequences for placing rooms and
I mean, I agree with him here too. Like it seemed really convoluted and like the kind of thing I would need to research how to do. Which I mean, I don't see it as a terrible thing. Somebody's got to do the legwork and do that, and we're all kind of lazy for just using content creators to answer problems. There was time and place when video games were extremely misleading, and we all loved it because every one of us had to like do the puzzle to figure it out and stuff. So I don't know. It's a different world we live in now.
the incorrect order for placing rooms at all. It requires such a large time investment to build up your temple, and you don't get anything from it. Even if you're setting it up right, I haven't seen it, and I think I am. Maybe I'm upgrading rooms to tier 3, but I'm not getting really any rewards. I don't know if it's bugged. I don't know what's going on, but you will clear a room in the temple, and it will say room completed, and you'll get nothing. And this will happen temple after temple after temple until eventually you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, there's nothing novel here. I'm not getting anything interesting. I'm not getting any upgrades here. The monsters are the same as the monsters that I would fight in any random way. So why am I going here? Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, the design itself is great. Yeah, the presentation is good visually, but the actual gameplay, the actual interface, the UI, the UX, all of it is just poorly explained and poorly designed. And it frustrates me to no end, especially because it's also baked in with not being rewarding and not having any clear goal. You'd think that the goal would be to kill at Ziri, right? Or to fight at Ziri. I don't think we kill at Ziri, technically. Well, I am unhappy to report that after this weekend, if I was really enjoying the league, my playtime would still drop substantially. I'd play a lot this league, you know, because I am creating content on it. I booked a little bit of time off. I let my wife know, of course, we're gonna focus on this. Well, to fight at Ziri, I've seen some people take 40+ hours, and you get one attempt at it, Ziri. Right, that's absolutely insane to me. Mainstay, pinnacle feature, and it's RNG to get to her, and it might take that long for one opportunity to interact with this legendary lore encounter. This, I suppose, aspirational piece of content. I'm not going to get to fight at Ziri. I guess I'm going to have to watch a YouTube video on it. That sucks. I feel like that should be Uber at Ziri, not the regular encounter in the league.
Let's see if
Perhaps they want to lock behind the, the cool story content, the cool boss fight behind a long grind. If that's intentional, that sucks, and I greatly dislike that.
How about that slam? How about that slam? Damn, I'm gonna need to use a super expensive one on this. Actually, Oh man, okay, so it's either Catalysted Perfect Exalt Slam or Desecrate. I think I need to use Desecrate. What? Why, Doc? Don't go. Where you going? Where you going? Yo, this ring. This ring, though. This ring, though.
Yes.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
Have an order?
If you use Abyssal Tablet on map already, overrun by the Abyss, will it make it up 30 plus Abyss? No, I don't know. I already used it on one. I didn't notice an extreme amount of Abyss
Yes.
beyond the normal overran amount. Alright, let's see if this is worth doing. Hell no, I'm not paying that. You gotta be out of your freaking mind, dude.
Oh, it's you.
Alright. Wait. Alright, this is only 93. Wait. Let me check. Let me check. We'll go for cold. Only tier 4 guaranteed. If I even hit. And then I got the other ones. No. Alright.
Have an order?
I have decided what to do. I am going to
I'll post
do this
it right
instead.
away.
We're going to do
Have
the
an
cheap
order?
one. Not neither of the options I mentioned. I will simply summon the power of the vision and the Messiah energy and everything that encompasses that. Oh, I could actually go for a desecrated, specialized desecrated mod. Are there any of these that are good? I don't think so. Alright. Let's see what I get. That's basically garbage. The only saving grace is that you can remove it if you wanted to keep crafting on it. But that's pretty bad. Yeah, the shock magnitude, I did think for a split second to go for that, but I didn't really want to, so.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe it's, they say about. I mean, it is a good base too.
Someone is
maybe.
bound to buy that. Oh, it's you. Check back soon. Have an order?
Yep.
Seems like a good deal.
Somehow I haven't gotten a single jewel yet today. Why am I so unlucky? Would you want Sacred Flame? No. Because as much or more of my DPS is going out while my weapon set 1 is active. So it's not all about trying to just pump up Twister damage or weapon set 2 damage.
That type of design. Basically locking your access to content behind RNG and time investment. It's the same thing with the Arbiter of Ash. Nothing changed there. Everything is still random. I'm still getting comments about people not finding citadels at level 93, 94. Yes, they look for the Burning Citadel. Yes, they are going far out from the center and they're not finding anything. It's just poor design. It's poor design and it's been brought up since 0.1, including by myself. So there's all these problems with Fate of the Vow, right? And Fate of the Vow was pitched as a big endgame supplement. And that's what leagues are supposed to do in Path of Exile 1 or Path of Exile 2. Even if the endgame isn't finished, it still serves as a big surge of new cool content, right? That's what we're promised. That's what we expect. And that is not what happened with this league. That's not. I can't. If they tested this in endgame, I would be shocked. It feels
Big. Whoa. Wall of text. Hey, Stu, great content in this league so far. I have a few questions if you could help sneak in. Then your next video update. First league back. 1 to 3 minutes of Twister gameplay. Yeah, in my mind I had like a deep dive video on the build I kind of wanted to do for that. But maybe it'll take me too long to get around to it. Generally speaking, on Twister in general, you use Barrage when it's up, Salvo when it's full, and then you press Twister on that. So basically, you're using Whirling Slash to move around, which is basically a movement skill as much as a damage skill. And then it's just Barrage and Twister. This monk is a little more complicated because we have an extra button to use. A nuke for Spark. And it's obviously more complicated in how it's set up. But in terms of playability, it's just one extra button. It's not that bad. So generally, I do the Barrage and Twister like I would normally. I try to get near the monster and then cast Spark whenever it's up, and you can kind of spam it or cast it once as you cast Twister so that the Twisters are out in the open leeching first. I cast it right then when I switch over, and see my mana didn't get wrecked because of it. I was kind of out leeching that. When you press an 8 count Spark, you know, it drains your mana like something stupid, right? Of course, if there's no enemies to leech off of, you don't need to press your nuke anyway, so I mean, it's kind of a... Use it when there's enemies on the screen after you cast Twister. It's barely dodged that wall attack. Is there a way to consume broken armor? I'm doing it right now with Elemental Invocation, the monk's specific skill. Right here. Exploit weakness. Elemental Invocation goes out several times, or a couple times a second. I did forget to mention that going into combat, I usually click freezing mark on the enemy. The build is different than PoE Ninja. I guess follow the PoE Ninja. It should be almost identical right now. There's like a small difference that I'm doing with this thing here, which seemed to be necessary. It depends on what stage of the build you're in. You don't just follow what I'm doing. Like you would need to have the similar items and Similar stage of the build, too. I will say, most recent additions were subbing out Inexorable Crit for Pinpoint Critical and Twister, and subbing out Chain for Pinpoint Critical in Cast on Crit for Spark to get more critical weakness procs, and reverting back to this. Really gotta have this. I think it's either you take this point or you have this point combined with the 16 Divine Lineage Gem, where your Chaos damage breaks armor. I need to test that, but I suspect that probably works well. It would effectively save you a Twister Gem Link, actually. Or they either save you Twister Gem Link or save you a lot of passive points.
You've received a shipment.
Unfortunately, it's highly contested Lineage Gem.
Speak quickly.
And I wouldn't say it's one of the highest priority upgrades
As expected.
either. Oh, okay. Dude, imagine if that had been 35%. What? Oh my god.
Times of the essence.
Yes?
Okay. I mean, I'll hit that. Sure.
Have an order?
Lineage called, it's called
All
Zesht
right, your
something.
order is
Zesht
registered.
1.
Have an order? I'll do you proud. What's new?
I'm just happy that I'm killing things before they kill me. Good old Mac. Hi, how's it going? 11 live. Oh, man. Hey. That's kind of good now. Stupid mana roll. I'm telling you what, if these boots had also been tier 1 movement speed, oh shit.
Can I help? I'll do what I can to sell it for you.
Wydock asks, have I ever played hardcore? In Diablo 2, in Diablo 3 I did. But not in PoE 1 or PoE 2. Game's too rippy for the way I want to play. So I thought that Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 are easier games, that you had more time to react to stuff, and you could get away with playing like a glass cannon, even in hardcore, to a certain extent. But in this game, that doesn't feel... You're giving it a try. I thought you already gave it a try at League Start, and then you were going to switch to my build after you died. What is this? Call of the Brotherhood? Increase lightning damage does no damage. Increase elemental damage counts, increase cold damage counts in total for everything, for lightning and cold. You do not want % increased lightning damage. That's a bad mod. Useless. Even for like flat lightning rolls and stuff. The hardcore community. The hardcore community. How big is that community anyway? Yeah. Very tiny. You're gonna stay tiny as a content creator if you're only working with a tiny community. You know that, right? back to life.
Howls, the flames roar, the frost bites.
Guy. Vile robe is sold for 7 divines. Oh shit, we're printing. That's my highest one trade sale this league. 7 divines. Nice. No, I hear you. I play the game the way I want myself. Considering we talked about this earlier, I built my brand off of like currency strats and stuff, magic finding and things, being like a huge part of it.
Not yet.
And I've kind of deviated away from that a little bit towards, you know, cool build ideas, build making and things like that. That, you know, you kind of take a hit in terms of popularity or a stagnation effect or something, you know, when you do that. But I genuinely think that any one of the builds that I've made in PoE 1 or PoE 2 for the past 2 years could have absolutely popped off and been the meta. Like, they were worthy enough of being that. Maybe not the Cast on Crit Poison Assassin build. Maybe it was just a little bit too weak. Although it wasn't very weak. Dude, is this guy gonna cast? But, you know, it was a little bit weird. I had to, like, set it up and stuff. But especially the Deadeye, like, the Twister Deadeye last league, the fact that that somehow didn't grab attention, it blows my mind. Because that was truly an example of a build that was just outpowering everything. Basically everything I ever saw that people were doing on an equivalent budget to what I was doing it. So, like, so long as you were, especially with, you know, Lightning Arrow, the default, as long as you weren't comparing a 200 div Lightning Arrow versus a 20 div Twister build, as long as you weren't doing that, it was just obvious. 20 div Lightning Arrow, 20 div Twister. Twister was way better in every category. 200 div Lightning Arrow, 200 div Twister. Twister was way stronger, faster, more damage. But, you know, it's a play style or something that turns people off, I guess, having to actually press like one more button. Or the whirling slash movement, which I think is actually better than WASD moving around on Aroa, but that's just me. I kind of felt like if it somehow wasn't going to be meta last league, there's not really much of anything I can do to grab the attention of the community. You can only make a build so strong. Holy Ring? What, this? Yeah, I just don't understand this obsession with WASD. I never have. I even made a video on it in the beginning, although that was kind of a different... That video was kind of a different context, but it still just blows my mind.
It's you.
I played World of Warcraft on a rogue with like 20 buttons in a rotation. Like, I get that side of gameplay. I actually enjoyed it for what it was worth back then. But I don't see it as this crazy, amazing thing that some people do apparently in ARPGs.
Bye then.
Oh, another crafting potential. Alright. It's gonna take me all day to get through this Talkative Tribe video. Oh, maybe it was this ring?
I cannot.
Oh. Huh. Only if I hit mana. This is worth pursuing. Wow, I did hit mana. Oh my god.
Oh, it's you.
Alright, well. Take it to town then.
Your order is registered.
Maybe. I played some of your builds. I think they're great. I just found comparing other people's yours were very unforgiving when it came to attributes and needing exact jewels, needing exact amount of multiple places. Otherwise, the build just didn't work. But my personal preference, however, when I get them going S tier. Okay, no, you're fine. I don't even contest that. The builds I make do tend to be a little more complicated. But the reason, okay, here's where my thinking on this is coming from. I had already just said that I kind of made a name for myself by min-maxing the bejesus out of farming strategies. People loved it. They latched onto it. They wanted to know every single little idiosyncratic thing they could do to min-max their farm experience. The perfect gear for it, the perfect, strategy, the perfect scarab setup, the perfect everything, the perfect execution of the map. I could make videos for that stuff for days. It would get tons of views. So I take that same drive, the same level of conscientiousness and attention to detail, and apply it to build making for builds. I am min-maxing a build to the extent where I'm squeezing every bit of power that I can possibly through multitude of testing, and I don't necessarily get it right, 100%, or there's not enough time in the world to test every single possible combination, or, to know every single potential combination out there. But the fact that I'm a content creator and I have an entire community at my disposal means, 100 heads is better than one. And if I got a pretty good head on myself, that I can come up with certain ideas myself, combined with the entire brain power of the community we have, then I could probably do a really good job making builds to the same caliber that I made strategy guides. And so I imagine myself, everybody loving the insane amount of attention to detail and idiosyncrasies and all that with the currency earning stuff. Why does that not translate over to build making? So that's one thing that is just a little strange to me, how that doesn't translate over. I look at the meta builds, and in the blink of an eye, I can tell that they're not getting nearly as much out of the build as they could be. The most obvious case of this is not maximizing weapon sets for spirit gems or utility versus regular skills and all that stuff. And it's kind of jarring, to see why is such a build meta when it's being so half-assed in that way. And I say that advisedly. I'm saying compared to the level and degree and scrutiny that I'm applying to one of my own builds. To me, as a viewer, if I was a viewer, I would expect a meta build to be ironclad, perfect, basically as optimized as you can possibly imagine, with some room for growth in mind. Like, okay, here's like a most optimized version, but these are other alternatives until you get XYZ, figured out. That's the kind of things I talk about in my guide. An example of that for me is Wake of Destruction, Call of the Brotherhood, terrific combination. Use Hollow Palm. I implemented Hollow Palm into the mid game. It complicated the build, but it made it way higher performing in the mid game. Does complicate it, and there's some things you got to know going into that, like weapon set swapping and moving Hollow Palm to weapon set 1, and then actually using Bell and all that stuff. But I also say it's not 100% necessary that you do that. The build still performs fine. But I want to milk everything I possibly can out of the build. I have barrage twisters. I have nothing to do for 2 seconds in between. Why am I sitting there diddling my thumbs when I could be pushing out way more damage and use other skills that sync up really nicely with it, right? Like having twisters hit a bell, having Ice Strike freeze enemies, getting the Frost freezing mark through Hand of Chayula, elemental weakness. I just added 3 buttons, but they're all for good reason. They all do a tremendous amount of power for the build, but not everybody wants to do that. And so obviously it's a little disappointed the degree that people have where they're like, the build's too confusing, there's too many buttons, I don't want to play the game this way. And I could, like, to the point where a build doesn't even catch on because it's just too much for people. I'm not expecting everybody to play the game the way I do, to have the level of attention and desire to, go crazy on a build the way I do. But I also understand that this game was meant for that. That's the ultimate trump card in my pocket, is that this game was meant for players to do that. So you're playing against the grain of what the game is designed for you to do. Like this game was designed way more so than PoE 1 for you to use multiple skills to sync up things. And so I get this emphasis on, we want to press one button, we want to press one button. I'm also like, well, the developers have a vision for the game. They want the game to be this way. I'm going to make builds that are in alignment with that vision, getting all the power that I can out of the build. I'm seeing it through fruition. I'm seeing it in real time. I'm seeing myself get a whole bunch of power for doing a few extra things, and people still... It's not that people don't appreciate it. It's that people just don't jive with it or whatever. And it is disappointing as a player as much as a content creator. Like, why can't people play the game the way it's meant to be played? Like, what do the developers have to do? Here, perfect example. Do the developers have to make this gem do 300% more projectile damage if you use them? Is that what it's going to take for players to actually hybridize builds? Like, what if the developers magically buffed Pursuit 3 to 300% more damage? Would you guys actually use a few extra buttons? Like, what would they have to do if you did that? Because, I mean, the decision's in the hands of the developers. They can do whatever they want. If they really wanted to force the player's hands, they would do stuff like that. I low-key wish they would, just to see what happened. You know, kind of enforce their vision onto the players, instead of caving every little thing the players whine about. These things exist for a reason. The Huntress has the same tech going on right there. There's all kinds of stuff in here that's like hybridized tech things. I mean, I guess this fits in the meme of do extra damage on Tuesday. You know, 50% increased damage with hits against frozen enemies. But you know what? Because I've set the build up in a way where everything just gets frozen kind of instantly, this is legitimately strong. Point, at least for 1 point. I wouldn't path all the way around to it. These conditional don't seem to bother people too much. I am not an ignite build, but I do have flame wall in there, and I go out of my way to get a flat fire roll on my gear just so I can get 30% increased elemental damage if I ignite it recently. Like, these are the kind of things that, like, make me happy to see stuff like that, to be able to have choices. For one passive point, do I want to prioritize a flat roll of fire high enough so that I can ignite enemies, at least trash enemies in a trash map, as to get 30% increased elemental damage? Is that worth it? I love being forced to make those kind of decisions. The answer might be no, but for me, I think it's yes. And in the case of, you know, I've fortunately got a big fire damage roll on the spear, which is by and large setting off ignite, I would say. I notice that enemies are ignited, and that's the only source of fire I have on the entire build, not counting flame wall, but you know, flame wall does some of that. The weapon swap, the weapon set thing is genius. Absolutely genius. I wish every ARPG had a system like that. There's so many possible ways to go about this. I recently just pulled out of all the AoE points, lost a Twister AoE breakpoint, just to come back and get this tech, which syncs up into... if I can find it. Armor Break 3, because Armor Break 3 wasn't actually doing enough Armor Break without 8% damage as extra fizz, because even though Twister has a bunch of physical damage in combat, it does way too much elemental damage with buffs up, so that the elemental damage overrides the physical damage to the extent where enemies are dying right before the armor gets fully broken, and so I don't get to clip that threshold to actually armor break every single enemy before it dies. In other words, I'm doing too much elemental damage, not enough physical damage. However, if I just simply take this point, that takes the entire damage that Twisters have, plus the elemental ground effect, which is now cold Twisters, the 50% more multiplier, and then gains an extra 8% damage as physical, thereby granting me enough armor break so that I break every single enemy's armor, and the result in the map is the difference between getting almost no frenzy charges and getting flooded with frenzy charges. And so that is one of the more recent like problems or issues, little things I had to solve in the build, and I absolutely love that. I wish I could give that gift to everybody who plays the game, makes builds, you know, aspiring build creators. To me, that is, I mean, that's just the pinnacle of like making your own build and experiencing the problems and solutions and figuring things out. And all of that only works if it's extremely complicated and you're expected to, you know, use multiple different buttons, think about things in 100 different ways, and figure stuff out. Because this is not the only solution to get frenzy charges. I could revert back to no resonance keystone and do the simple route with just getting one frenzy charge every, you know, 6 seconds or whatever through combat frenzy, and that would be fine. But because I actually used a little bit of brain power, I figured out that I could go resonance keystone and set myself up to break armor, and then just through sheer quantity of monsters that I'm breaking armor before they die, I actually get way more frenzy charges in maps than I would going the very simple, obvious route of combat frenzy, and that's it on a freeze build. So this is but a taste of not even 1% of what it takes to dive into a build as much as I do. This is like 1% of the build. Everything I just said in the last 2 minutes. And if it seems overwhelming, well, that's because I actually put the time and effort into exploring different things in the build. I don't just look at the lowest resolution, most obvious answers, take only inspiration from what other people are doing. You know, I actually go through that process myself. And the result is a pretty awesome build in the end. One way or another. But, you know, to wrap up everything I said, all of that is kind of in vain when people can't be bothered to understand a build. A lot of you guys want to be bothered to understand the build, obviously, but the vast majority of players are not going to be attracted to a build like this because there's just too much going on. It's too many buttons pressed, too many little things you got to figure out. Maybe they don't appreciate all the intricacies of the build. Maybe they just don't want, like, they just want to use the lower amount of brain power in understanding and executing a build. They just want that, you know? And I'm dismayed at how many people fit that category. I really had a little bit higher hopes. I had a higher hopes for the community that, especially upon playing this new game with a new vision, one that was in alignment with the way I'm making builds, that we would see something in the way of a shift in the mindset of the players at large and how they approach builds, playing them or making them. I'll give you another example of a content creator who is in the same vein as me on this, Hipsudo. I just saw he put out another build. He has some sort of polar bear build that killed Zesh T3 Zesh in like 5 seconds or something. And then he spent the remaining 25 minutes of the video talking about a deep dive on his build. I think that's freaking awesome. But there are so few people out there like him, or like myself, that, you know, that's just, it's evidence that it's just not that popular. You know? This is why I say the greatest factor about, you know, what is meta is really just, you know, the popularity of the player who is making the build or pushing the build. That has way more emphasis on what is meta than the actual quality of the build and the amount of effort, time, and tinkering around with it that went into that. Boom. Accuracy. Well, that was about as bad as it could have got. One more. Okay, you did.
Hail.
I always thought you and Hipsido were underrated. Well, I recognize, you know, somebody like me is capable of seeing just how awesome Hipsido is, because I immediately understand the extent by which he put it, you know, what he did. It's not only the time and effort, but it's also like the mental acuity to actually figure all that out. And he might be better than me at making builds. I think it's a very, very real possibility. Somehow he only has like 3,000 subs on his YouTube channel. And his Twitch streams, you know, not all that popular. When he is just a fountain of knowledge and wisdom and build creation. And anybody would be lucky to even watch his stream. If nothing else, just to appreciate it. Because he's in there talking about his build constantly. And all the things he had to do to figure this out, to figure that out. And it's actually very interesting. You should absolutely play the meta next league and apply your skills in the existing meta, like where the eyeballs are anyway. I don't know. I would not feel inspired. I play build I want to play. I don't really enjoy playing builds that are conventionally overpowered. To me, that kind of cheapens the experience. Like, if I know the build I'm playing is, like, on a conventional rudimentary level, stronger than everything else. Like, if it's stronger than everything else on paper, you know, where you barely even, like, dig into the numbers and it just has higher numbers than everything else, to me, that's really boring. I'd rather figure out a way to make a skill that is good, but not the best, and transform it into something that actually beats everything else. That's way, way more satisfying than just playing the build with the highest flat number or whatever. He was weapon swapping on Monk to apply curses. No, he made some... He made a fantastic build. You guys remember he made the Shattering Palm Monk? That was like a legendary build at the time. The flex is strong with you? I don't know what that means exactly, but okay. There are a lot of people who like watching YouTube videos, tech YouTube videos, but like they don't mind digesting it in like 10 15 minutes segments, even if it doesn't apply to them. But as far as like people actually, you know, applying it to their own builds and things, there's just not a whole lot in the way of that. Or, you know, especially like making decisions based on all the synergies and things going on in a build. Oh yeah, I need to play something off meta. Right. Well, again, meta is not that important of a word. Because let's say in an alternate universe, everybody was playing what I was playing, and, you know, whatever I made became the meta. Well, then I'd be playing the meta, but I wouldn't be going about build creation in any different way, you know? Like, it would still be the same.
This land shall know Kitava's hunger.
Well, if anything, it would be worse, because maybe I would care a little bit more than about streamlining builds, and I would actually make sacrifices to the build's overall power for the sake of casting a wider net on the community or something like that. It is really hard to hit the soul tether. I've tried 8 times. I feel bad for you. That's kind of unlucky. I figured the average to hit is like 4 to 6 probably, and I hit it in 7 myself. Think about going Flying Spear, Derica? Oh, well, you mean you should if you're going to stick with the weapon set 1-2 thing. I put pinpoint critical on almost everything, by the way. I feel like it's better. It's both. I even put it in the cast on crit lane instead of pierce. I feel like getting that. I'm not critting nearly as much on this build as I thought I would, which is surprising considering how much, you know, gone into crit. But now Tangle Tongue is critting almost 100% of the time, and I really want those spells to crit too, if possible. It's also hard with your build to switch to it. I think a lot of players don't want to bother trying a build until the end game. Well, I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean. They choose a build in the beginning as a league starter, and then you're saying they don't want to swap to a build until they've already farmed up the currency to swap to the final version of the build. If that's what you meant, I suppose, yeah, I would agree.
Darkness awaits.
Which incursion mod did you use? Incursion mod.
We thrive.
It's just not a downside. It removed the downside with Leech Life. I think the very best mod would be removing the downside and getting life regeneration is applied to any of your shield instead. It's probably the best mod, especially if you're a CI. This is Invoker, yeah. This is a Battle Mage, Spark, Twister, Invoker. You cast on crit. Metagem focus. Somehow gonna go 10 maps without getting the jewel ones. That actually sucks. You can see Twisters combined with Spark. It's really cool. Even these mobs are getting critical weakness, so the follow-up attack will have a way higher chance of proccing, or even my Elemental Invocation Spark will have a higher chance of proccing. Each cast decides whether or not it's crit, and it's determined at the time of hitting the mob. So if I can have Elemental Weakness on the first mob that a Spark hits, it'll dramatically increase chance of it critting. Here's the crazy thing. I should have probably done this earlier, because this pinpoint critical here feeds itself. If I cast Twister, then Effigy of Cruelty is active, and any cast on crit Spark procs will potentially crit and give me critical weakness. If they crit, they have a higher chance of critting if I have pinpoint critical. Right? And if they have a higher chance, or if they do crit, then they start stacking critical weakness. If it's stacking critical weakness, it has yet even a higher chance of critting. So you're actually doubling down on crit, the crit chance of Spark, just in the one link. Of course, critical weakness applies to the cast on crit link Spark, as well as Elemental Invocation Spark, as well as Twister. This, of course, only matters for enemies that stay alive for more than half a second, but which isn't that many enemies, but still. It's actually really, really smart for bosses, and I think it'll improve boss DPS a bit. What a genius. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to, like, magically solve all your problems with bossing damage. You still got the issue of, like, this is a boss with a terribly small hitbox, so it kind of sucks, but the arena is also pretty small, so that's good. So it's a bit of a mixed bag on how much damage it actually do. And you can see I'm actually failing to get any critical weakness on him. I didn't crit him at all for some reason. A cast on crit Spark only has like a 44% chance to crit by default, I think. But that's with power charge. One of the big problems is that you don't have power charges on the boss until after he's frozen once. And that dramatically lowers your crit chance compared to what you have in maps. So I did everything. Crafting in title.
Yes.
Oh, Belton's here. Alright. In your honor, Belton, I'll do a little bit of crafting for you.
Indeed.
We got crafter extraordinaire. Oh look, check it out. I crafted this item by dropping it on the ground, already finished. It's pretty nice. 40 spirit, T1 spell damage, T3 all attributes, T1 cold res. That's pretty good craft right there. Dropped straight under the ground. I don't know what that's worth. It's worth no more than 10 div, I think. We just lower it from there. That's how my parents crafted me too. Just dropped on the ground. Explains a lot. $33 dex. What is this garbage? This thing. Wow, it's trying so hard not to fail. It's trying so hard. I mean, no.
Oh, it's you.
It's like the little ring that could.
Seems like a
What
good
that
deal.
is. Double crit gold amulet. Say what? Double max energy shield too. What, the roll ranges are bad. I need to re-roll this. Dang. Dang. I am... Yeah, I'm gonna desecrate that, actually. I'm gonna desecrate that. With the cheap one. Because if I hit spirit on this, that's
I'll
gonna be
fill that
strong.
in as soon as I can.
And then this guy right here. These are the money makers. Prefix? Oh. Oh, alright. Alright, sure. Let's see. I mean, it's gotta have some res on it. Gotta have some res. Okay. Double exalt. Oh, good outcomes. Very good outcomes. Oh. Oh. Yep. I'm going expensive on that one. Ah. That's pretty expensive. Alright, hold on. I gotta check trade. See what this is worth if I hit big. I think it's like 5 to 10 div. If I hit like T1 or T2 flat. But it's gonna cost me like 2 div to even go for it. Legitimately. Let me check. Ancestral... Oh wait, what's the command? What was the command for trade in game? I forget. I can show you guys. Giftatism with both hands, YOLO. Okay. Ah. Gain energy shield from body armor. Wait, this is a triple energy shield amulet. What? You hit +3 progs and your amulet with 1 transmute? Should try to fracture that. What in the world? That amulet's weird. Guys, do you remember the hotkey for the overlay in game?
What's new?
Because I do not.
Is that a good price
Control
for that?
D.
I have no idea. here.
Control D. What? Oh. I'm blind on this stuff. Pop-up potion. What? Oh, this? Market. Oh, just slash? Forward slash? Lol. Alright. Let's give it 450 energy shield. Okay, that's... Actually, I think it's probably close to 460. And then we do total resistances 65. Then we do rarity of items found 16. Did I do it wrong? Ancestral male? I did it wrong, sorry. Alright. Here's our answer. That doesn't look like... No, that might be tier 2. Yeah, it's actually lower. I got better than that. I think I can go up to like 470. Even with tier 2 probably goes up to 470 if it's a good roll. Okay. Fortunately, I'm
What's new?
oh, never mind. Thought it was out of currency. Not out of currency.
All right, your order is registered.
Not yet. Let's get the rib. Ancient rib. Okay, you shouldn't always use this. Gotta play it smart. Don't use these for nothing. If you use that, then you definitely better use this.
I'll post it.
I basically only use this if it's from the Abyss Essence or the rib, big rib. Boom. Alright, we got 2 tries to hit tier 1 or tier 2 flat energy shield for a big helmet. Look number 1. That is 10 accuracy away from perfect. That's wild. It's not there. Try again. Okay, we hit tier 3. Good roll range, tier 3. Good roll range on percents as well. This is going... Yeah, this is going to basically look like a tier 2 because of the roll ranges, so that's okay. Definitely not divining that. Better be over 450. I don't think it's gonna be over 450. Oh, it is 463. All right, again, if we check 450, you can see forward. Bear in mind, this is 16, 16, and what was mine? What was mine? Also 16. Damn. Yo, Jazzerus with the raid. Jazzerus, what's up, my guy? You just missed me craft a 6-div helmet.
I'll do what I can to sell it for you.
I was listening to Talkative Try, not liking the game. Do you like the game? I know you're going to react to that video. You are definitely going to react to that video. Oh, actually, there's a problem with these. Is this tier 2, tier 4, which is uglier, and people don't want that. So actually, as far as tier 3 plus, it goes up 7 div. So I think this has a very real chance of selling for 6 divines. Yeah, that has a real chance of selling. I probably don't have to sell it for any less than 5. And I've been selling these fairly reliably. Let's see if we look at the shop here. We got a 3 div helmet, 7 div body armor, 2 div ring, 1 div helmet, 3 div helmet, 3 div helmet. So you can see I'm making helmets my go-to here. Helmets and body armors primarily. Helmets are so meta. I like the game. Werewolf Druid is carrying the league for you. Alright. Maybe you can react to it right now. The Leech ES? Oh, dude. That's great, man. That's really nice. Soul Tether 100% uptime, and with a support gem that now unlocks the Overflow Leech. Actually insane.
Feels good in the campaign, and then it falls off entirely. I don't even get reward benches. And most of the reward benches, you know what they deal with? They deal with corruption, which requires you to have, just in case you corrupt an item and it bricks it, it requires you to have a secondary good item to fill in your slot. And as we talked about, my point number 1, no luck this league. I just have to buy upgrades. I can't craft upgrades. I'm not getting any luck, and it just feels bad, and that could just be an outlier situation, but it's the situation that I am in. So we had Druid introduced, W except the bugs. Those will be fixed, all right? Awesome. Fade of the Val introduced. Big L right now. Not enjoying it at all. I don't see it as an endgame supplement, and I can see them changing the way it works, boosting the rewards and stuff like that. But I'm just not a fan of the whole design. I think that if...
You guys want to see my secret crafting strategy? It's pretty simple. I don't suppose anybody would be interested in knowing how I'm making currency, huh? It's not even mapping. I'll make a little bit mapping, but I'm definitely making a lot more crafting. I map for gold, basically. I'm just mapping for gold and then I'm crafting. More or less. We're gonna go for Ancestral Tiaras first.
PoE 2 was 3 years older, and it had a good foundation to the base game. It had a good campaign like it does now, a good end game, and a suite of other mechanics. And they added Fate of the Vow, and it was in this state. It would not nearly be as bad, in my opinion. But because it combines all together with the rest, this is the thing that they decided to add this mini game that is confusing. It's not explained. It's not rewarding. It's not really any different type of content. And there's very little else in the game, and the core fundamental endgame loop is bad. Then it compounds, and you get me being very heated, I feel like, in a video and frustrated a few days in, faster than ever before. So those were...
What? Another 3 div Ancestral Tiara sale? Really? Really? Well, that's aptly timed. Alright guys, this is how you craft helmets. You start with perfect transmutation, perfect augmentation. You're going for either res or high energy shield. Anything with life is basically garbage. +2 all minions is interesting. This one's kind of mid. Alright, so this is already, you know, basically dead. For the ones that are dead, I'll still hit them with a 2 in case I hit good, and then I, you know, hit like a Greater Regal or something, and then maybe Essence of Abyss in the end, just kind of YOLO it. But more or less, I'm just paying attention to these. See, that's about outcome there. Intelligence is okay. Max mana is, I guess, okay. For some reason, I failed to hit Energy Shield on any of these. Except one hybrid roll. I guess, yeah, go figure. I hit it there.
Oh, it's you.
Okay.
All right, your order is registered.
Now, if I'm taking this really seriously, I'll use the essences normally, but In the case of this one, I'm actually going to use... Maybe I can like keep it all tier 1 and use a perfect regal. Still hit an essence mod anyway. That's funny. However, if you already have an essence, especially like tier 2, it's really kind of a good idea to just go for the tier 3 essence follow-up. So you got double up on that. For this, yeah, because it's good there. Yeah, I guess I'll hit that. The problem with this batch of helmets is that they're sorely missing in either flat or percent energy shield. This is the only one that even has it. So this is kind of the best one. Energy shield recharge rate, though, I don't think is actually that valuable right now in the game. Alright, so I don't want life for sure. Flat mana I'll keep, I guess. Flat mana can be useful for certain builds. I'm actually not sure if minion flat mana is a good combination. I think it is. Maybe somebody can remind me. So here's an example where we're just going to use this 3x essence to see if we can rip off life, and we failed. And then if I fail, since chaos orbs are so cheap, I will go ahead and hit it one more time with this, and wow, that's interesting. Okay. Plus 2 minions. Well, that looks a little similar to this one. All right, go again on that. Nope. Hey. Okay, so it's alive now. This is now alive. Before desecrating this, I'm going to hit this with a double exalt greater, because I may want to use abyssal echoes if this hits really good, right? So we're going to hit that. And that did hit pretty good. That hit tier 3 flat, tier 4%. And so those aren't really good enough to go all the way with it, though. But plus 2 minions?
I cannot.
It's kind of good. So I'll go ahead and hit it one more time with one of these to hope I hit good. Alright, I hit int. Hit int. That's pretty interesting. So I don't think I will do a reroll on this. The roll ranges are a little low. But this is still going to be optimal for selling for something. I would estimate this is going to be between 1 and 3 divines to sell, I would guess, in the end. Having invested like half a divine in it. We've already lost 2 helmets. They're dead in the water. This is also going to be an Exalt Slam. No homogenized Exalts, of course.
Yes.
I need to buy more omens. Of course, we used homogenized Exalts a lot last league for all this.
All right, your order is registered.
So the result of it not existing means it's harder to hit really good items, but the items that aren't like perfect or nearly perfect are still worth something. All right, we hit really... Oh, double hybrid. Okay. This is another case where if I hit flat instead of... If I convert mana into flat, this would still be good. And the only way this is worth doing anything more with is to hit the essence. I hit the other one. So the flat mana roll is terrible in here. So we'll just kind of see if we can potentially peel that off, which... I did, actually. I did tier 8 flat energy shield, but that's too bad. So, hit it again. Okay, it's still got a couple good suffixes. This is pretty close to being dead. Now, alright, now it's dead. That's a loss. Catalyzing Omen? Yeah, I mean, only on rings, of course. That's how I crafted this ring. Catalyzing Omen. Catalyzing Omen, double slam hit. It hit flat cold and... Or wait, no. It hit flat cold... Or it hit cold res and lightning res. With a cold catalyzing Omen. That's what that hit.
Check back soon.
Prior to slamming it. Okay, another double slam here. And this is really bad outcome. Suddenly a whole bunch of life garbage in here. So that's just really bad. And we'll try to save it. but now it's dead.
Yes?
So that one actually was looking to be pretty good. Get this one. Excellent outcome on this one. Hit a second res, hit the flat, and this is once again going to be an expensive rib. This is poised to be a 5 to 10 div item potentially. Maybe a little less, maybe like 3 to 6. The res is a little low. I just crafted one like this a minute ago. A similar story. So this one we will reveal. Yeah, we'll go ahead and hit this. What do we get here? We got tier 1 flat with tier 5 life. So the tier 5 life roll is garbage, and I have to try and get it off, which I did. And it went into the prefix side. That's excellent. So we'll unveil that. Of course, we'll slam this, and really bad outcome there. But, okay, so because that didn't hit a res or anything valuable, I'm not going to use Abyssal Echoes on this reveal. Otherwise, I would have. If that had hit another res, I would have used Abyssal Echoes on it. But it's a little too expensive to justify doing it, I think. Even though this would be damn near perfect prefixes. Like, the suffixes can't be that bad, you know? It's just a problem if they're that bad. And everything to try to fix suffixes only is way too expensive to merit on an item like this. Alright, we got one more.
I'll fill that in as
You
soon
see,
as I
I'm
can.
trying to, like, be smart about this. Keep things fairly fairly cheap.
What's new?
Tier 2 life. Tier 3 flat. Yeah, that's awkward. I would probably leave this if this was life, flat, and percent, but because it's, you know, it's not really doing itself any justice on the prefix side, I'm going to try to clean it, and wow, I actually did. So once again, we'll hope to hit, basically praying to hit percent here. Pretty much the only thing that can happen that would be good, and that did work. Alright, so streamer client strikes again, and that is going to be a very nice helmet. The roll ranges are a little bad, but it's got rarity. The best thing for this helmet with what it's doing is if I hit double rarity. That would bring the most value to this. So somebody running a double rarity helmet isn't going to care about perfect prefixes anyway, but they want good prefixes. Otherwise, obviously, a hybrid res or lightning res, or even chaos res would be good there. So this will get the expensive treatment. This one will also use an Abyssal Echoes. This one is no Abyssal Echoes, and this one is also no Abyssal Echoes, I think. Yeah. Okay.
What's new? I'll
Two of
post it
these.
right away. What's new?
And then here's the very expensive one. So expensive I can't afford it.
All right, your order is registered.
Right. So we hit that. Let's take him to town, shall we? Alright, first no Abyssal Echoes. Hoping for a res here. And this will, again, still be halfway decent. We got cold res. Alright, not very high roll, unfortunate, but yeah. This is not going to make a whole lot of currency, but it'll be worth selling. This one has major issues with the suffixes, but the prefixes are poised to be absolutely excellent, and we did hit a very good result. Alright, so this will sell for quite a bit for somebody who cares deeply about their energy shield roll and their helmet. Best base, very high result on that. Now, the really good ones. So on this one, double rarity primarily is the goal. Or resist. We completely missed here. Energy shield recharge rate at least has some value. But these are pretty bad options, so we'll re-roll. Alright, got a little unlucky with that. I don't know. The Blood Mage would never want this, right? I guess not. We'll just put the res on there. It's, you know, it's got 3 res, tier 5, but okay, that'll still go for something. Last one has a chance to hit something really big. Pretty big, anyway. We're going for flat. We got tier 1 hybrid rolls here, tier 1, tier 2, but I need flat. Alright, completely missed. Unfortunate. I think that's tier 1 live. I'm just gonna go hybrid roll here. So that's worth a lot less because it missed. I definitely lost currency on this helmet.
Shipment sent.
But I didn't... I came out ahead for sure. They didn't invest all that much. I got lucky overall. The fact that I even had like 4 helmets still going strong out of, what, like 8? 4 out of 8. Surviving is much better. Usually out of crafting 8, 1 or 2 will survive.
Have an order?
If you're kind of crafting it the way I did. And by survive, I mean it'll be worth somewhere between like half a divine to 10 divines when you get done with it, depending on the rolls. And so we'll finish all of these up. I will, yeah, I'll give it the fine treatment, I guess. Giga armor scraps.
All right.
They're not terribly
Your
expensive
order is
for
registered.
everything else I did. People were using divine orbs to guarantee all Desecrate Bond? No, I didn't know about that. That sounds unfortunate. Set it up this way to get the highest roll ranges. So, in the end, these are the 4 out of that tiny little batch. Alright, 494 is a big number. That's a big number on a helmet. And you're pushing 500. Like, somebody's not going to mind that much. See, if I go in here and I check, you know, 480 plus, and I don't even concern myself with suffixes, like, this is going to show some value, right? Like, you can see that that's not going to sell for nothing. And so if we add, what was it, like 1 res, I think? At least a divine, likely. And to be fair, energy shield charge rate might be worth something. About 1 divine. Although I would say mine's better with life or life per second than 8% fire res. Because that's still a tier 2 life regen roll. It's not necessarily god awful. If I want to check this, I can go... Let's see. Oh, it stays in here. Wow. It changed it. Kind of like it, I kind of don't. Alright, all tier 3 or above. 2 out of 3, or 3 out of 3. On a 300. Not going to be that great. No. Okay. That's surprising that hasn't sold yet. Yeah, still, you know, barely worth putting on trade, I guess. I don't think it'd be worth like taking off the taking it off and then trying to put it back on there. It's too expensive. On this one, 350. Pseudo elemental resistance. Okay, these are corrupted. Yep, that's a little bit. Maybe 80-ish. Now I'll bring it down from there. Wait, that's not even the right one. Sorry, this one was maybe 50.
You may have been dreaming before.
Oh, I was searching this up wrong. Sorry. Hold on. I made a mistake. I just realized. Let me do that over. Alright, so we're going to figure out what these are worth. / to open the market. And this is 3. Following res, intelligence, suffixes. It also has rarity. And it's 3... well, I'm, send it down a little bit. 340. Wow. That was actually better than I thought. That's pretty wild. That ended up being so good. Or, oh, okay, sorry, I had it mixed up. My bad. Let's try this, 300. Give me a lot worse. Yeah, a lot worse. That does make me think twice about ripping off, putting it back on again. If it was all tier 2 suffixes, I would probably use Special Omen. Maybe. Based on that price difference I just saw.
Can I help?
But, yeah, we'll just put it up for like 100 and then... Actually, you know, it does have the life and the mana together. Or rather, just the life. So the fact that it has life will elevate it a little bit. Alright, this one is 2 of the following. Yeah, 80-ish res. 85 res. Also rarity. Closer to 340. This is somewhere in the 3 div range. Yeah, this is a very similar item to the one that I'm showing right here. Yep.
Oh, it's you.
Okay, put mine up for 3. Maybe somebody wants a different resistance
Seems like
spread.
a good deal.
All right, here we lower this. We got 2 of them. We got minion. Minion 2. Uncheck these. Raise it to 380. And it's going to look somewhere in this neighborhood.
Have an order?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually worth 2. Maybe start with like
I'll
160.
do what I can to sell it for you.
This one. $480. One. Your shield recharge. Wow, these really that many of them? 100 on here? Dang. Just for curiosity, what happens when I do 2? Oh, hold on. That's why. That's part of the reason why. Okay. Notice a lot better when you have 2. Yeah, nobody really wants this mod.
Have an
Still
order?
looks to be 1 divine. But with the tier 2 life regen, I'm going to put it up for 3, just in case somebody
Someone is
wants that
bound to
mod.
buy that.
And I'll lower it slowly. So that's it. That's crafting in a nutshell. That's how I've been making some currency. For sure. You can see a few items, and there's 7 div vial robe. I've also been crafting body armors. It's basically the exact same crafting method for body armors and helmets. The prefixes are a little different, and you're going for the same suffixes. Resistance and maybe attributes. On the helmet, you're trying not to hit mana, and on the body armor, you're trying not to hit thorns. It's basically the only difference.
What's new?
Nice little crafting tutorial, eh? I just made the crit swap. Nick Rohe asks, I'm level 78 and struggling now. Well, level 78 is a little rough because I bet your resistances aren't anywhere near capped, and you're trying to get some of the uniques in the build, and yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle to do that swap early. You could try going, focusing more on attacks and not, like, I don't necessarily recommend switching that fast to like cast on crit version. Like, could be too hard to pull that off. But I do remember like somewhere in that like tier 1 to tier 10 maps with a little bit of growing pain for the build. Yeah, mainly on account of just the defenses being bad, having almost no evasion, having basically no energy shield, having like 30 to 40 all res, and you know, it's just got to do like 2 or 3 modded waystones with no real nasty mods to start. I've just finished my flying spear, 30 div in. Pretty happy with the result. Oh, wow. You can link it to me if you want.
Have an order? I'll I'll post it right away.
+3 attack skills. Yeah. Did you fracture that yourself? I'm guessing some of them are available on trade. It's nice. Yeah, you'll actually get onslaught on build. That's nice. Like super reliably. Let me know how it plays. If you feel like the... I mean, obviously your twister damage will go up and your spark damage will effectively go down the way it plays a bit. You won't be double procking. You'll be critting less often, maybe. Although, I don't know. I mean, with pinpoint critical in... It is kind of nice putting pinpoint critical in there. It's going to really help get a regular spear's crit chance up high enough. Hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's probably worth it. I don't know.
What's new?
Let me think here. Do I just want to do it like this? Straight into it. I'll give that tier 3 delirium encounter a try again. I think I can do it.
All right, your order is registered. What's new?
Spear glass? No, you'd use flying sun or flying spear. I mean, flying spear itself even got buffed. No. You the prog speed is way too strong for that. I mean, the prog speed is also going to increase your proc rate because you're going to get more hits off too. Tier 3 Simulacrum. Alright guys, we're going to do this. Tier 3 Simulacrum. Testing this variation of the build. This is a really nice way to see where the build is at since it's so well designed for this encounter. But, you know, whereas a lot of other types of mapping content is kind of easy, this really helps me kind of get a sense of where the build's power is actually at on harder content. And I can make, you know, subtle adjustments if I need to. I've already made some. The one thing I did recently was lower the AoE radius of Twister to get... Actually, I got some jewels and then changed the tree a little bit, rerouted it in a different direction. I lost a very important notable that I realized I needed to keep in if I wanted to keep getting frenzy charges. The armor break gained his extra fizz notable in the tree, so I went back and I took that, and now I got the frenzy charges back. I lost the twister radius, but you know the frenzy charges are a little more important than that, so with some more levels I can figure it out, I guess. Maybe get that radius back in, but only level 92 right now, so we got a lot more room to grow. Spark, Twister, Invoker. You can see the sparks. They really make light work of this. Whatever the Twisters miss. I guess the Twister radius is a little less important because Spark will clean up the mess. To a certain extent. Some of these mobs are pretty tanky. Depending on the modifiers they roll. Ailment threshold is particularly bad. I think that's the worst one, really. Because I need to freeze in order to get elemental invocation. And cold infusions. And to be safer in general. Kind of looks like I'm overclocking my garage a bit.
Back to the soil.
Wave 5.
Drawn into the mire.
These are the big arena ones, so we're going to be even smaller arenas, which is both good and bad. More dangerous for me and the monsters with the build I'm running anyway. The boss going to come out. There it is. Both of them on wave 5. Sir, that's illegal. Can't be coming out that fast. Can't both come out on wave 5. Get out of here. You guys.
Fortune favors the prepared.
70% delirious. %gain ES's stun threshold off the CI from Nothing Jewel. Very nice. As well as elemental threshold. Oh, boss spawned on a failed Tangletongue crit. That's bad. How do I know it failed? Well, because nothing died when I casted it. That's how I know. Kind of do like 1/8 of the damage as normal if my Tangletongue fails to crit because of all the components involved in that, including cast on crit, elemental invocation, bifurcated crits, the damage itself. Definitely want to crit. Mana Siphoner. Most dangerous mob in the game. I'd rather face Kosis than a Mana Siphoner rare in this encounter. For sure. Does Tangletongue work with cast on crit? Yeah. Yeah, well, it's weapon only, but it gives you extra crits. So it procs cast on crit, it double procs cast on crit, as well as elemental invocation if you're double freezing, shocking, or whatever. That's why we stick with that weapon for so long, because it's hard to justify upgrading beyond it when that is the case. You see how I got shoved out of the way there? I was deliberately not standing in the bubble, and I got moved out of the way. Back into the on-death effects. It's crazy. The Delirium bosses spawned at the same time in Wave 5 and then like never again. Not even one of them. It's so weird. I wonder if there's like an anti-forgiveness rating on the boss spawn. Like if it's because they didn't show up at all in the first 4 rounds. They both showed up in 5 and then it's like resets the forgiveness and it's like back to 0. Oh, I got stunned there. Did you see that? Good thing I got 3,200 EHP. New charge tech video coming out around the corner. The way I'm getting charges, I'm surprised I don't have endurance charges. I actually get endurance charges off Wind Dancer procs of all things. The current setup. New tech for me. Smaller arena. And that looked even easier. Wow, this is the fun one right here.
The Dreamland and the Dreamer will pass into the next world.
Knock back support mandatory for Whirling Slash here. I know this boss is going to come out. I'm saving my Spark nuke. We're going to get at least one here. No? Really? Alright, lucky. I was anticipating the nuke. Very strange. Wave 11 only seen the bosses in one round of this thing yet. They're gonna show up a bunch, though. I think with this version of the build, they're the least dangerous because I have the Spark Nuke and I freeze harder than anything ever before. Again, more scared of a mana ciphering rare than anything. Dangerous map. Yeah, I'm gonna die actually. They both spawn on the most dangerous one. Man!
You've got some goods in.
What is this? Alright, I know I can do this. Whoa.
I will make use of it.
I was such bad mods there. What is this worth? Is this worth anything? You guys know? I have no idea for druid stuff. Palmer, Dream Palmer? No. No, definitely not. I didn't even like that for the other build, actually. It's not active except during the weapon swap. The critical weakness is active when you swap weapons. The shrine buff is not active during it.
What's new?
The pops is not active for most of what you're doing.
Yes?
Plus, we're not scaling that damage anyway.
Let's see if there are any takers.
A few more tries. I'm gonna get this. Yeah, they don't happen. It doesn't even snapshot, like, from your Twister cast. So the second you switch back to Whirling Slash, you will not receive any pops at all. Because Shrine buffs are dynamically active. So it's like the worst of all worlds for what this build is trying to do. Yeah, it's really bad.
Remember this, friend.
Alright, Simulacrum Wave 3, here we go.
I think it's time to last every loss.
Gotta prove that the Battle Mage Monk has what it takes. Clean up on content that is so well designed for. It's pretty rippy though. Some call this the hardest content in the game. Probably 100%, 150% Deli Abyss is harder than this though. On a really badly rolled map. Yeah, that would be harder. But you can control the map rolls, so you don't have to put the map in if it's bad. Can't do that with this. Do I think Amazon can make this build? No. I honestly don't understand why I get asked that question so often. I get asked that question more than if Deadeye can make this build. Why is that? No, we're relying way too much on Invoker tech. For Spirit, for Elemental Invocation is playing a key role in this build. By the way, Elemental Invocation's level is increased from plus prog gems too. So, it does do actual real damage at level 26. Which mine is currently at. Which I can't really show right now. Whoop. How does the Atlas look? Well, lately I've been doing just Rogue Exile farming on Abyss. I think that's kind of a popular farm in this league. Based on what little bit I've been looking around on it. Got a lot of stun threshold, but still get stunned in these maps. I actually got pretty good ES given the overall quality of my gear. And I can't. Every single time I try to open it, it's on the wrong angle of the sheep. Yeah, 38% evasion. Wait, I just realized Wind Dancer is not active. Oh, well, that makes it harder to survive. Why is it not active? Why? Huh? What? I never turned this off. I don't know what the heck.
Let yourself be
Okay.
drawn into
No, I actually really need Wind Dancer active to survive. I mean, that's endurance charges and, more importantly for this encounter, knocking enemies back when they hit me. That was terrible not having that. I didn't even realize it. You're going to see me get endurance charges soon. Eventually I'll get hit. Y'all let them hit me here. See, 3 endurance charges. Boom. Now I got almost 4 KES, dude. Fully broken armor. We got the frenzy charges, power charges, and endurance charges. And I'm looking forward to bringing you guys a video on how that's happening. First time I've done triple charge tech with Resonance Keystone. And I'd say it's the best version, given the type of build and how I'm doing it. I've done it for all 3 iterations of Twister, but this is the most reliable. In fact, it's so good I don't even need Deadeye tech for frenzy charges. Or not so much, anyway. It does come with its own set of problems, a little bit, but it's really strong, too. Omniphobia, get critical weakness. Keeps fully stacked. 10 stacks of critical weakness. You can't not die. Anybody want Onslaught?
Are you trying to cleanse yourself of me?
The bosses get frozen much easier with this build than they did with Deadeye. Like, the Deadeye, the way I had it set up last time, it would usually freeze a Delirium boss, but not until, like, he was almost dead anyway. So now it's like, gets frozen first very quickly, and then, you know, I'm a lot safer. Usually kill him within that freeze window. Even have extra damage on Tuesday while freezing enemies, too. No mana siphoners yet. Keep them out of my arena. Ah, bosses are spawning often here. Sorry, he's frozen. So I didn't even mark him that time. Still froze at half-life. Could be good. See if we got anything. Nope. Nope. Oh, that's definitely worth looking at. Nope.
You can't get rid of me, Exile. I am you.
Oh, God. Ah, that's tripping balls right there. That's bad. I had to freeze that guy. Woo. Now, if that had came out in this arena at the same time as both Delirium bosses, I would have very likely died. I handled that really poorly. A second one? That is the timing of the bosses coming out, but I guess they're staying at home this time. Plus, this is a bad round, I think. Tanky mobs. Woo. I'm happy the bosses stayed home. on that round.
Nothing you do matters.
All right, Skinny.
Dreamland and the dreamer will pass.
Take all the damage, do all the damage. Spark, go. Brr. Are we gonna save? Oh. Hey, I made a sale. Mana Siphoner with Coast. Oh, I'm so lucky. Everything crit there at the end. That was terrible. On this round with Mana Siphoner and Coast at the same time. On this floor. This spot. That's pretty scary. Doing alright though. And I have 40 evasion. I actually have Wind Dancer. Oh man, it interrupted my cast. I lost salvo on that cast. Fewer twisters than normal. Got the heightened charges proc though. Saw the number 10 on Barrage. 20% chance. Wave 12.
Wonder what tugs at the strings of fate.
I can't help you out with Druid weapons in the chat there, sorry, but I don't know enough about Druid to help you. Mana Siphoner's out again. And he's still alive. Oh, he's good. Whew. Good thing I'm a little bit tanky. This is actually a lot harder than last league. 40% more monster, 40% more life. I believe applies to these mobs as well as other mobs. Which, I mean, I guess is good overall because it made bosses a little bit more, you know, they matter a little more. But for Delirium, tier 3, that's kind of rough. Oh, very unlucky. Oh, I got very lucky I survived, but very unlucky with the timing and positioning their spawn there. I ate through my entire energy shield and half my life on one hit. Wave 14. How did I lose all my mana there? Really? Whoa, they're tanky. I think it's frozen, then stunned. Then frozen again. Wait, how'd he get all of his life back? What? What? As long as I don't think he can one-shot me by himself. From full energy shield. Wow, dude. That guy.
Believe me.
That would have been a great finale for round 15, but here we go. Oh, this round looks easier, actually. Another iffy timing, just quick enough. Oh, yeah. Get roasted. Round 15, way easier than 14. Hey! There it is.
Keep your precious sanity, my
No
agent of
Megalomaniac?
chaos. You shall serve me
Oh,
in the flesh
no.
as your
I
life
always
is
get
more
Megalomaniac. That's, like, super valuable. My first kill.
anywhere.
Guys, I'm unlucky. Alright, there's a tier 3. Simulacrum. Build designed pretty well for it. Twister in general. Spark Twister, certainly. Recent changes to the build. I used to go down this way, all the way over here. But I want more speed. So I actually got 0.15 second attack whirling slash in now. That's why I've made the changes I made in the last day. Got this one, this one, this one. Replaced some of the crit here with this over here, but losing the whole dazzling thing was bad. Losing this was really bad. I realized after the fact I absolutely have to have this to get the frenzy charges. We should talk about in another video. But, you know, still going down here, grabbing everything there. Maybe at some point get Megalomaniac for this mod. I'm not exactly sure, but... actually, I probably won't need it later, because we also have this sucker in play, and this is going to make the Lineage Chaos Armor Break support gem probably work. The fact that we got this. We need a pure gain damage as extra to really armor break hard enough to make that go off before an enemy dies. So yeah, new jewels. They're looking real nice for this. Level 92 stats. Res cap, some chaos res. Attributes okay. Giga Soul Tether, still here. We crafted the spear. They're pretty nice. 2.3 weapon speed now. Spears are faster than they used to be. And this tech here also works with this guy. Even more speed. Actual new speed in 0.4 that didn't exist last league. Getting some of that back. Getting some of that speed back, guys. This is not all that much slower than my Deadeye was in the first week. By the end of the first week. After the bug fix, in particular.
I have a buyer.
Which weapon set spark-related skills? Is the question in the chat. Well, that would be either one, because if these are not active, they won't even acquire energy, let alone allow you to spend it. And I already checked, you cannot assign, like, you can't assign, I think you should be able to do this, but you cannot make Elemental Invocation active on both weapon sets while automatically switching over to another weapon set with Spark. So you would think, like, see how I got this right here? And Elemental Invocation is set to both, and I move over to Spark, and then let's say I want it weapon set 1 only. Well, it won't acquire any energy. You can see it's actually not even active. So, it's always been this way. I don't know why. I would love it if I could force Spark to go on the weapon set. That would actually make the build a lot better. If we could do that. Atlas points? Oh, I feel like you get more Simulacrum slams from the bosses. Probably gonna go max Simulacrum Splinter farming, which would be this right here.
Go on. Choose what you need. I will make use of this. Time is of the essence. Yes.
Will I use Headhunter? Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely use Headhunter.
Indeed.
Some point. Well, let's see if we can rip off or make this onslaught. Actually, I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess with this. I don't know if this is worth anything. We'll just put it up for something Thrill Steel. Oh, it actually keeps all the things in here. Nice. It used to reset all of this. Okay.
What's new?
Two-socketed Thrill Steel? Oh, hello. Alright. Actually, Thrill Steel would be really good for leveling. True.
I'll do what I can to sell it for you. Have an order?
Struggling on crit on this build. I played earlier too with no spark for a while and feel it was much stronger. One of the recent changes I made that I think are improvements, although when I tested this earlier on less gear, I wasn't freezing enough. I think, okay, so especially if you're on earlier segments of gear, you really need material solidification and hail allocated. This is why I've switched the tree over this way. So that's why either you can go down the middle and revert left, or you go down the left side. Left side pure is more speed. Right side is a little bit of passive point saving and or more damage. So you choose left side for speed or middle like I used to have for more damage. But even if you go the middle, you split it off left to hit, you know, this. And honestly, you could even get like Fervor plus Frenetic, which would be pretty crazy. I now have pinpoint critical all over the place here. Elemental Expression has it. Whirling Slash has it. They already had it. Twister now has it. I removed Inexorable Crit, and I think it's just... At this point, I'm doing enough damage with Twister that it seems to break armor and freeze enemies, even with a 30% less critical damage bonus, as opposed to Inexorable Crit, critting authentically with the full crit damage bonus. What I'm saying is there was a point where... if the loss of 30% crit damage bonus seemed to be the difference between necessarily freezing and or armor breaking enemies before they died. And so I might be on the lookout for that. But certainly having enough damage, enough flat, you know, a few different places. You got one decent flat roll on the gloves. A very good ring for flat. And then, you know, a very well rolled Tangle Tongue. Although, you could put more flat in here, but I really want like flat fizz. Also flat fizz in the gloves. Socket. Can put one of those in. So that's kind of how I'm able to do as much damage as I can. And then I also put pinpoint critical. I think this is good for bossing, actually. So I removed chain because, you know, we don't need that much help on trash. So might as well go for like a utility cast on crit setup that's designed better for bossing. This will help pretty dramatically the uptime of cast on critical weakness with the focus effigy. And once you can get that ramped up and you can hold it in there, you're even more likely to crit, which means it'll stay. So it's like compounding effect, trying to get your cast on crit spark to crit as much as you can. Right now, this seems to be kind of overkill crit for Tangle Tongue, as in, like, I probably have a damn near 100% chance to crit even without power charges or conditionals on enemies. But I also don't care right now, and it makes me feel good about the idea of switching to a potentially different weapon setup. You know, if I'm getting to a place where Tangle Tongue is like... Tangle Tongue's crit chance is like 140% or something, you know? Because now I drop Tangle Tongue with a regular weapon, I'll actually be, you know, a little bit less than 100% chance. Careful Assassin and Thin Ice. Thin Ice, yeah. I mean, I do have that. What's Careful Assassin? I don't know. Careful. Careful Assassin? Oh, over here. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I originally, when I was making the build guide, I had this allocated on weapons at 1 only, though. Not weapons at 2, on weapons at 1 only to help get the crits for effigy, but I pulled out of that. So out of combat, my crit chance for Twister... It says 48%. But like, it's actually a lot higher than that. I don't know why the number says that low. It says 38 to 48. Maybe it really is that low now. I mean, to be fair, I did pull out of dizzying hits and heart stopping. And then this didn't do a whole lot for that. Just crit damage. So I have made some recent sacrifice. Oh yeah, I'm pulled out of these points here. Although there's no crit chance involved there. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, maybe it's a little lower. I even have crit chance roll and helmet, which I don't really think is necessary, but it's probably helping me a little more than I realize. Explain why I take resonance. This is going to be a video soon. So resonance makes power charges, endurance charges, frenzy charges, and frenzy charges, power charges. The typical Twister setup is, especially back in 0.2, was combat frenzy. It procced every like 3 seconds or something, and you got frenzy charges very reliably. So it's very simple. You just need electrocute, freeze, or pin. Freeze primarily for this build. Would work pretty well. Not for bosses very well, but at least for everything else, pretty well. That's the most conventional basic Twister frenzy charge acquisition setup for elemental Twister. Cold-based Twisters, combat frenzy. And most players who would make the simplest Twister build are not even going to have power charges or endurance charges or worry about anything else. Now, the Deadeye, this works a lot better on Deadeye because they also have called shots with Frenzy Mark, and that's good, that's decent uptime for bosses, as well as just kind of helping him fill the gaps with Combat Frenzy, not proccing all that often after it was nerfed so heavily in 0.3 with this timing, you know, at 1920 here, we got a 6.2 seconds. That's like half as often as what it used to be. So pretty dreadful now, as far as between the bossing aspect and the huge internal cooldown. Yeah, not so good. In fact, actually, I didn't check this league. I assume we cannot do this still, but we should probably at least check it. Nope, okay. Alright, well, there's a workaround for this. I discovered it last league. Can't remember if I did myself or if somebody else did. I think somebody gave me a tip on this. So the idea is that if you happen to be playing a build where you're pathing up to Resonance, which I was on the Deadeye when I was doing the Energy Shield hybrid version, I pathed all the way up to this one for Controlled Metamorphosis, so only 3 more points could have gotten the Resonance Keystone. Obviously, the Invoker is super close to it, so we have luxury as Invoker, especially to grab this Keystone. And I even want to path up here, so it was either go this way or go this way for that. The reason this works is much better than the stipulation enemy must be frozen, and it only works every 6.2 seconds. We have a no internal cooldown, frenzy charge acquisition through Twister, which is doing a lot of physical damage automatically. Automatically doing good physical damage. Armor break 3. 20% chance to gain endurance charge when support skills fully break armor. This sacrifices a link that does really nothing more than give you frenzy charges and a little extra damage because the armor is broken. This is not enough. You actually still need to take this as well. This wheel here with increased armor break. Or you need to have the 70% more armor break gem socket. But actually, I found this is even stronger than that. And the reason it's even stronger than that is because we're getting a bunch of... Because Tangle Tongue is so weak on the flat damage roll, you have to get a bunch of flat elsewhere. And in the event, you know, you got flat lightning here, flat cold here, and some flat fizz. A little bit of flat fizz here. That's a lot of flat elemental. And so it's reorienting our twister damage into high elemental. Plus you have elemental twisters. It's because of the boots getting elemental twisters. So the total sum of our damage plus gain an extra 8% damage as pure physical actually breaks armor on everything in the game except before it dies. And so part of the mechanisms of this build is you're trying, in order for this build to feel good, you need to crit all the time, you need to freeze enemies before they die, and you need to break enemies' armor before they die. If you can do those three things, this build feels really good. If you fail to do one or more of those things, the build has holes in it. If you fail to do two or more of those things, you're probably not having a good time, to be honest. So just think of it that way. If there's anything, like if you want to look for solutions yourself, and, you know, I've worked around this and stuff. As far as the freeze, the solution to freezing all the time, lightning twisters converted to cold, flat lightning everywhere. Tangle Tongue, even with this low damage roll, is really good. Things like this, hail, empowered attacks, gain its extra cold. Things like, not 100% necessary, but like freezing mark is in there. A whole bunch of percent increased elemental damage, like this wheel. Whole bunch of percent increased damage all over the place. Crit multi, of course. Prog speed, prog 3 supports. And not only that, but elemental expression does real damage. Rarely ever picks fire, picks lightning or cold most of the time, which is pure cold. That's a big lightning or cold chain hit. That's a big, fairly decent cold chain wave. I even put freeze support on here. That really helps freeze some cannon fodder mobs that are, you know, maybe getting missed or whatever. Elemental expression is responsible as utility to help freeze. Elemental expression does three things. All three. It actually serves that function that I just mentioned. In fact, this is a great way to actually conceptualize the build. I'm actually going to write that down. I just realized that when I go through a deep dive on the build, I should probably orient the entire deep dive around this concept. The concept of critting, freezing, and breaking armor on every enemy before it dies. Elemental expression does all three. It's utility for all three. It is one of the only cases where a proc is allowed to proc. A proc procs a proc. Usually, like for example, any spell out of the proc cast on critter, elemental invocation cannot proc themselves. Your spark from cast on crit cannot freeze and proc. It can freeze, but it won't proc elemental expression. Your elemental expression spark cannot proc cast on crit. However, your crits and freezes from elemental expression can. So they help support both crits and freezes. And because the build naturally is high dex int, converting all lightning to cold, that's basically 100% of elemental expression's outbound utility damage is going to contribute to crits and freezes. What's more is it also hits the third mark as well on bosses. Exploit weakness rips off broken armor and allows me more opportunities to spin the wheel on armor break 3 to get frenzy charges. It is not super reliable, but it is something, and the more damage you do on the build, the more you get the scale physical damage, the more quickly you can spin that over and over. Because this goes off constantly. Just whirling slash, it goes off. So blindside is there obviously for crit, a little bit of damage, and then cooldown recovery just allows it to get cooldown. It's got an internal cooldown of like 1.5 seconds or something. So yeah, elemental expression really does represent the key component of the build. Like understanding the build as a whole is taking a look at the support gems chosen for elemental expression, and you can get a real good sense of what that skill is responsible for doing. So that's frenzy charges. Power charges is quite simply the replacement of combat frenzy. Combat Frenzy's role is simply giving power charges. The nice thing is I don't need it proccing all the time. This is a perfect amount of proc rate to warrant this, because that's for charge regulation, which is being removed every 12.4 seconds. So if I get the buff in half the time that it's one's removed, then it's fine, you know. Even on bosses, this is going to have some halfway decent uptime after the first freeze. Depends on the global thing. But yeah, that's power charges, very simple. Endurance charges is a little more complicated. Tech that I learned from a viewer. Evidently, okay, so at first I had this anointed. Infusion of power, gain power charge when you consume an elemental infusion, which is constantly, all the time, always. That's crazy high uptime. In fact, I would have loved to be able to convert power charge into frenzy charge, because that would have been ridiculous. But we can't do that. Can't go backwards. Can't do resonance reversed. We also can't attach that to profane or charge profusion 2 for extra random charges. So Wind Dancer with Culmination and Eyelift Chimes actually works if I've been whirling slashing without changing weapons. If I change weapons to cast Twister, it resets the combo. But if I'm just whirling slashing and I get hit, I get 1, 2, or even 3 endurance charges at once, which are also not being used very often. So you could deterministically grab endurance charges at the beginning of a boss fight if you wanted. If you're not terribly, you gotta let the boss hit you once, of course, but yeah. So that's endurance charges. Is proc damage bar 6 meter on weapon better than extra damage from essence? Extra damage from essence. Yes, extra damage from essence does nothing for spark, so yes. Or Twister for that matter. So Hollow Palm is indeed dead. Well, I only use Hollow Palm for the mid games. It makes sense to use it there. If you're missing, if you have over 211 spirit and you're not able to equip the items, it's for one of 3 reasons. Reason number 1, you haven't actually done the proper spec. You haven't taken Efficient Inscriptions, and or you haven't taken the Soul Spring Eternal. That gives you reservation efficiency. That's issue 1. Issue 2 would be having a support gem that actually has reservation, like Clarity, Precision, or even this one, Katal's Rejuvenation, reserves 6 spirit. That would brick it. In the case that you had 213. And the other one, maybe I forget off the top of my head. There's also a possibility that it's just straight up bricked for some reason, like your gem is bricked. Because you were messing around with attributes and stuff, and it actually permanently bricks the gem. That happens pretty rarely, but it can happen. Oh, I remember. The other one, the sneaky one, is quality on cast on crit. The quality gives you 10% increased reservation efficiency. It might be that.
Can I help?
It's the only gem that does that. Yeah. Yeah, this too, yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of speed back. Okay, a couple days ago I was at attack time 0.2. So I shaved off an entire quarter of my attack time. I wasn't even getting this wheel before. I didn't have Stimulant anointed. I wasn't doing this wheel. And I wasn't doing this wheel. I was going down this way. So I realized, you know, that's a whole lot of feel-good speed that I think all y'all's probably going to want. Granted, this setup here is really nice, but you gotta sacrifice something somewhere. And, you know, if you want to have speed like a Deadeye or even come remotely close to it, that's probably what it's going to take. Onslaught, unfortunately, doesn't proc very well off of this. Elemental Expression will make the kills on enemies before Whirling Slash will. I have to go somewhere with, like, crazy weak monsters to actually get Onslaught on kill with Whirling Slash. It just doesn't hit hard enough, even if you got a good spear with good damage. We could do higher level Whirling Slash, but we're too mana starved for that. So we can't. So you can see I got Onslaught there. But only in like a setting like Act 3 am I actually going to like, you know, mow down enemies with Whirling Slash. One thing I would have wished is that Onslaught could proc off of Elemental Expression. We could definitely get Onslaught if we could somehow rig it so, you know... Because, like, Elemental Expression procs off the melee weapon hit. But it itself is a different hit. So, if your melee weapon hits, you proc Elemental Expression. Elemental Expression does way more damage than the Whirling Slash itself. Kills the enemy, it sabotages Onslaught. So one of the reasons why Onslaught's so hard to actually get as a buff here is because Elemental Expression's sabotaging it. It looks like you make the kill with Whirling Slash, but you're not actually. I would use Call, but I don't see... It's only for rares and uniques. This is only rares and uniques. So, I don't... I would potentially use it. Yeah, I imagine it's low uptime of reds. I did test it a little bit. I didn't like it. There is a potential combination, though. We're not going for lightning damage specifically. This is actually a pretty cool support gem. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, guys, I think I'm going to bug out here early a little bit. It'll be a short stream today. Feeling like super foggy in the head. Just stayed up so late last night and one other night streaming. I wanted to get a stream done earlier. I want to record a video this evening. I'll probably put that Simulacrum 3 on the channel as well. It doubles as sort of a build update too. I did that last league as well. Yep. So, oh yeah. I'll probably put a crafting video on too. I mean, I wasn't planning to make a crafting video, but that actually went pretty well for the sake of like helping people understand a little bit on where to make money outside of just mapping. Figure some of you got something out of that. You're probably going to raise the prices of normal ancestral tiaras. Yeah. Oh, we got a Red Vials on. I think he's also doing Abyss Rogue Exile farming. And crafting. So he's actually doing the exact same strat I'm doing, I think. Ironically. You guys can ask him about it. Does the build work only with your third ascendancy? Yeah, you can do it without Elemental Expression, but it's going to function a lot worse without it. I kind of don't really recommend trying to do the spell, Cast on Crit Spark version of it, until you get your fourth ascendancy done. Which is represented in the guide, actually shows that happening all at once. So, but you know, if you really want to force it, you maybe can. Don't be surprised if it feels a little bit bad if you try to switch over super early. I think the leech tech is much, because without it we cannot go to T15. Yeah, kind of. I was doing it. You can still run a regular soul tether, by the way. You don't have to have this Giga Soul Tether to function. The leech tech works with a regular soul tether. And while the twice corrupted version is way better, the build still functions with regular Soul Tether fairly nicely. Especially, you know, in maps once you get the ball rolling. Guys, thank you for checking out the stream today. Hopefully you got some nice updates. We'll see you next time. I'm going to try to be on tomorrow, but I have a feeling I might be coming under the weather right now, so we'll see. I will make videos.